South Carolina, the homecoming parade in downtown Orangeburg as we get set for football. Welcome to ESPNU's College Football, presented by Citi. And some of the festivities at homecoming here in Orangeburg, South Carolina State, taking on the Bison of Howard. Here's how things are shaking down in the MEAC right now. South Carolina State still has a shot at the conference title, but they'll need some help to catch the leaders. And this turns out to be a statement game today for Howard as they try and upset one of the conference big boys. Hi and welcome to Orangeburg. Beth Mullins along with Jay Walker and Jay Howard coming in off of a couple of wins in a row. They're rolling along here looking for the upset, and perhaps this is the day to get it against South Carolina State coming off a devastating loss last week.
And South Carolina State better make sure they let last week's loss stay last week's loss, or else they'll have two losses in a row. This is an old school MEAC conference rivalry. These two teams don't like each other. They're going to get physical. They're going to beat each other up. Hey, that's good old-fashioned MEAC football.
And speaking of good old-fashioned football, these are two of the top rushing attacks in the conference. We expect to see a lot on the ground today.
Anytime you talk about South Carolina State, you're talking about one of the best running attacks in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. And this year, they've got a double back standard. William Ford, the speed back. He's the guy that can really hit the home run ball, but you always have the senior leadership of Deshaun Baker. He's the bruiser. He's the go-to guy for South Carolina State. One of them's a bruiser, one of them's a speed guy. They go by the content of thunder and lightning.
And there has been plenty of both. Baker is the top rusher in the conference right now, and Ford comes in as the number 3 rusher in the MEAC. So if you're on the Howard sideline, well, how do you go about stopping thunder and lightning? Well, it's definitely going to take a total team defensive effort.
And we talk about defense, that's Howard's strength. They don't score many points, but the one thing they can do is play defense. They've got one of the best defenses in the conference. If they can come out and play their air game and dictate the line of scrimmage, look for the Bison to get physical with the Bulldogs here in Orangeburg.
And they have, in fact, been the top-rated defense in the MEAC for the last 2 seasons. Looking to pull off the upset today, the Bulldogs hoping to bounce back from a tough loss last weekend.
South Carolina State homecoming on ESPN, yeah!
ESPNU College Football is presented by Citi. Earn rewards points in more ways than ever with Citi. Homecoming weekend at Oliver C. Dawson Bulldog Stadium in Orangeburg, South Carolina. A MEAC tilt between the Bulldogs and the Bison. And Howard is in town for homecoming weekend, and boy, do things really blossom during this weekend. You got 4,800 students, a little over 14,000 people live here in Orangeburg, and for homecoming weekend, they almost double it here inside the stadium to see their beloved South Carolina State Bulldogs. They are in all red. Howard is in the all-white uniforms today. And all eyes for the home crowd will be on how this club will react to a very tough loss a week ago, and whether or not they can rebound right away or Howard will give them a handful. And the starting quarterback, Cleveland McCoy, the junior from Hollywood, South Carolina, the most efficient passer in the conference this year.
Yeah, and as things have progressed throughout the season, they used to focus solely on the running attack from the running backs, but now opposing defenses realize that Cleveland McCoy is probably the most effective runner on this Bulldog offense.
Coaches pretty much spelled it out for us in their meetings yesterday and said, hey, as he goes, we go. He has been pivotal for them for their success this season. And the I formation behind him with 2 wideouts to the left. The play action from McCoy. They're going to go deep on the first play of the game. Incomplete over the outstretched hands of their deep threat, Terrence Smith. Taking a look at the lineup for South Carolina State, we talked about McCoy, the quarterback, Deshaun Baker in the backfield, and it's a pretty good group of wideouts, McLeod, King, and DuBose. Chris Burgess, one of their other starters, out today with a hamstring injury. Richardson, Lee, Harrison, Pringle, and Reed up front. The South Carolina State coaches, unabashed praise for Clyde Reed, calling him the best O-lineman in the MEAC. out of the shotgun on 2nd down. And out into the flat, the pass caught by Dustin DuBose, a short pickup, and a late penalty flag comes in from the secondary.
Holding, 25, offense, 10 yards, repeat, 2nd down.
So the early setback for South Carolina State. Coach Buddy Pugh troubled by some penalty issues that they had in their loss last week at Delaware State. They fell by just a point, 10-9. Had over 120 yards worth of penalties.
Yeah, and when you get a penalty like that on just a little extended wide receiver screen, that'll drive a coach crazy. Holding on that type of play is completely unacceptable.
Repeat 2nd down, now 2nd and 20. From back at the Bulldog 26-yard line. McCoy with the give right up the middle, out across the 30 to the 34. For the short pickup to Deshaun Baker. Here's the defense for the Bison. Piner on the inside, Hardy on the outside. Two of the best in the conference. They really shake things up front. And that allows Patrick Lockett and Pierce the opportunity to make big plays from their linebacker spots. They've moved some guys around in the secondary. Pope has excellent speed and pro potential at one of the corners, and Randall Means is a heavy hitter, the transfer from Ball State. On 3rd down and long, McCoy looks to the air. Now he's going to try and leg it out, and he is slammed at the 35-yard line. Timothy Lockett, the senior from Greensboro, North Carolina, the captain with the big stick.
You know, one of the things we talked about is this Bison team is very physical on defense. So Cleveland McCoy's got to pick and choose his spots when he decides to run the football, because it's not a gimme that you're going to remain in the game if you keep getting hit like that.
Punting unit will come on here on 4th down. Aaron Hare will kick it away. Larry Duncan back at his own 22-yard line. And the flags fly. After the shift at the line of scrimmage, but the penalty flags came way downfield.
A little substitution on the defense. 5 yards, 3rd down.
Now, I know I talk a little fast, but is that a slow-talking official or what? Illegal substitution. He enunciates every syllable of the word.
The penalty will not be enough to get them the 1st down, so it's still a 4th down punting situation for Aaron Hare, the redshirt freshman from right here in Orangeburg. Duncan awaits the senior from Lanham, Maryland. This will chase him back inside the 10-yard line. He will get close to the 20, and that's where the Bison will start out with their first possession. Stephon Gore had the big hit on the play, on the coverage. And the starting quarterback, the junior from Gardenia, California, Brian Johnson, making his 4th career start, a JUCO transfer.
Yeah, and he's the guy that runs the option very well. Coming into the season with the 5th string quarterback on the depth chart, so kind of tells you a story about perseverance. He stuck with it and got his chance, and he's made the most of his opportunity. Slowed
down by a preseason injury. He is considered the best runner of the quarterbacks. They've seen 5 different guys this year, and they have settled on Johnson. We do expect to also see Floyd Hagler, who is a local kid from nearby Orangeburg. And the pass incomplete on 1st down. Along with Brian Johnson will be Antoine Rutherford. He replaces the injured Keon Coleman, and Rutherford is their leading rusher. Terry Perry, Leonard Moore, Michael Harper, and Larry Duncan. The new spread offense, they go with 4 wideouts this year. Their total offense numbers are better, although their scoring is about the same as what it was at a year ago. Johnson out of the shotgun, looks right, throws left, and the pass caught out near the 40-yard line by Harper. But again, a penalty flag down on the opposite side of the field. As we take a look at the defensive line for the Bulldogs, Shaw, Turner, Epps, and Brooks. Turner is the guy to keep your eye on.
89. Defense, penalties decline, first down.
He's the senior from Athens, Georgia. The linebackers, Henderson, Reed, and McFadden. And the secondary, Brinson, Markey, Hamlin, Thomas Stanley, and Terrence Allen. 19 yards on the pickup, good for the first down for the Bison from their own 39. Moore is the motion man. Johnson lets it fly deep. He's got a man out there behind the coverage, and the pass incomplete, a little behind Larry Duncan.
Wow, it was a great read by the quarterback, Johnson. He ran hard with a rollout to the right, attacked the defense, caught the defensive back looking in the backfield, and threw the ball up over him. But if you're Larry Duncan, you got to come down with that grab. It's an early game. You're on the road. You need to make catches like this. Take a look at Johnson. Gets outside, attacks the line of scrimmage, catches you looking in the backfield, and this is a catchable ball. He's got to have that, even if you have to stop and slow down your momentum, turn around and make the reception first, then go out of bounds.
2nd down and 10 now. Johnson with the give to Rutherford. Big hole up the middle. Runs over a would-be tackler out close to midfield and very near another Howard first down.
One of the things we talked about in the open was the fact that these two schools traditionally don't like each other. Always a physical contest, and you'll see Antoine Rutherford here trying to get that extra yard. Rather than get hit, he's going to deliver the blow to the free safety coming up trying to make the tackle. When Rutherford's playing his game, he's a punishing style of runner.
9 yards on the pickup, 3rd and short. Johnson going to keep it. He'll get the first down as he crosses midfield into Bulldog territory.
Some of the first things you have to look at in this contest, we know that Howard likes to run the football. They're not a throwing team, but what they did is they came out with 4 wide receivers and threw the ball early to try and soften up the Bulldog defense so South Carolina State couldn't crowd the line of scrimmage. It'll be interesting to see if they stick to the passing game early.
It is worthy to note that South Carolina State has the most porous pass defense in the conference. As they go to the air again, the pass is caught inside the 40-yard line. Hauled in by Larry Duncan.
Same thing, you know, they do the play action fake there, gets outside the pocket, and Duncan's open for a long time, sitting there right in the middle of your screen. And Johnson does a good job of hitting Duncan right between the 8 and the 0 for the first down completion.
13 yards on the pickup. And the Bison methodically rolling down the field here on their first possession. Rutherford tries the right side, collared at the 35-yard line, and not much doing. Latavius Henderson, one of the first guys there defensively, the junior out of Greenville, South Carolina. And down at the bottom of the pile was James Simmons, the sophomore from Greenville. Pick up a 1, it'll be 2nd and 9. Perhaps a carryover from coming off of back-to-back wins for the Bison. Looking solid here on their first possession of this first quarter on the road in front of a raucous homecoming crowd in Orangeburg. They've kept them quiet so far. Rutherford tries the left side, shakes a tackler, shakes another one inside the 15, and finally knocked out of bounds at the 13-yard line. Big gainer for the Bison. 23 yards on the pickup, Jay.
Great job on the misdirection. They froze the linebacker, and they actually gave the ball to Rutherford, and Rutherford's physical. You can't arm tackle him, and switches the ball to the left arm, the proper technique there with the bruising penalty run. If he can continue to make big runs like that, as this game gets deeper in the 4th quarter, it's going to take 2 or 3 guys to bring him down because he gets stronger as the game progresses.
Markey Hamlin and Tony White had to come all the way across the field to make the stop. On the run play, Frank Birchie, the junior from Falls Church, Virginia, transfer out of Akron, who's been coming on strong lately. He may get some more touches today. Keon Brooks had the tackle. 2nd and 7 from the 10. Johnson again out of the gun with Moore in motion. Checking upfield, now going to tuck it in and runs it down to the 6-yard line.
very surprised that South Carolina State Bulldog defense is allowing Johnson to continue to escape the pocket. Johnson's not a tall guy. He's less than 6 feet. They list him at 6 feet. But why would you let a rollout passer continue to go to the right or go to the left and not have any pressure get in his face? We know he's not a great passer, but the more you allow him to escape from the pocket, the harder he is to defend. And thus far, he's been a very efficient quarterback in this football game.
10th play of the drive. This is the biggest. 3rd and 3 from the 6. Rutherford up the middle, has the first down, pushing towards the goal line, and will come up a couple of yards short. Hamlin, Reed, Brooks all in on the tackle. That'll set up a 1st and goal for Howard.
Yeah, great job by getting the push by the front 5 of the Bison, pushing the Bulldog defenders back into their goal line, and Rutherford just lowering his shoulder pad level and plowing for the first down.
Following their all MEAC center, Travis Herman, the senior out of Miami. The big guy anchors the middle. Rutherford trying to finish. The ball is loose at the 1. Recovered by South Carolina State.
You know, it's just something that happens. The teams that are having a bad season, they just don't catch any breaks. And that's a perfect example. You've got Antoine Rutherford, who's been doing a great job running and protecting the football, get down on the goal line. Good hit. Great hit, lowering the pad level there. Rutherford just put it on the turf, and you can't put the ball on the turf when you're on the road, especially when you're taking points off the board.
Believe that was Patrick Reed, the 5th-year senior out of Snellville, Georgia, who made the pop to jar it loose.
Take a look at Reed there, number 39, does a great job of getting below Rutherford, trying to make the textbook tackle and put helmet on ball. And in defense of Rutherford, anytime a helmet gets put on that football, it becomes a jarring object, and it always comes out.
Shanad Williams recovered it. And the defense comes up big for South Carolina State with its back against the goal line. They force the turnover. First and 10 from their own 1-yard line, and a penalty flag again. I believe this will be a delay of game as the game clock had wound down.
When you're on the 1-yard line, I don't think Coach Pugh can complain about that. It only cost him probably 2 inches with the, with the penalty.
How exactly does that register in the statute? I guess you'd have to give them the whole full yard, even if you're going back half of it. Backside of that football, almost touching the goal line. Let's see what the Bulldogs can do with the turnover here. They're going to try and run it out of their own end zone. William Ford sweeping around the outside, gets across the 5-yard line, and knocked out of bounds at the 8.
Gutsy call by Coach Pugh and staff to do this type of sweep option 5 yards in your own end zone, but he's got faith in he believes in the ability of Will Ford, the fastest guy on this Bulldog offense, to not get tackled in the end zone, but that's a very risky call that deep in your own territory.
Daniel Pierce made the tackle. Now 2nd down and 4. Look like the same play. Another good result will be enough to pick up the 1st down and move the chains. And we've got a penalty flag, though, that we'll have to check out first.
I think what they're realizing is Howard is having a tough time defending the edges.
Late hit, 52. Defense, 15 yards, automatic. 1st down.
That's their senior captain, Timothy Lockett, coming in late.
Wow, I mean, you know, this is a close one there. As you take a look, he's out of bounds, and whew, that's a tough one, because it actually looked like Ford was diving over the Bison defender to stay in bounds. And I mean, that's a ticky-tack call, but you have to expect when you're on the road, you're not going to get those type of calls, and they're going to go against you.
And I believe they did call that the late hit and not the helmet on helmet, which it looked like it may have been, but until we saw the replay there, it was not. 1st and 10, flag flies at the snap. Short carry up the middle for the Bulldogs. An impressive first possession.
Illegal motion, number 2. Offense, 5 yards, repeat the down.
For Howard, over 10 plays, drove the length of the field, and then got on the doorstep of the Bulldog goal line and coughed it up. And for South Carolina State, I think, Jay, some lingering effects from a week ago. It's been a bit sloppy here for them in their first 2 possessions. A lot of penalty flags.
They need to forget about last week's loss, or else they are definitely going to disappoint this homecoming crowd. You don't lose homecoming. In the MEAC Conference, if you lose homecoming, they'll never let you live it down.
A terrific turnout here in Orangeburg today. The pass completed to Kelly King. Got back out across the 30-yard line. The senior from Columbia, South Carolina.
Kelly King's been one of those guys they've counted on for his leadership ability. You know, Coach Pugh and staff said we're a very young football team. We've only got 3 seniors that play on offense and 3 that play on defense. King is not the most athletic wide receiver they have now, but he's their most veteran wide receiver, and he came up with a big grab there.
Cleveland McCoy will change up the play here. Handoff stuffed out across the 35-yard line. That was Deshaun Baker on the carry. Endor Cooper and Timothy Lockett on the stop. Baker, the senior from Charlotte, North Carolina, closing in on his 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard rushing season. He needs 151 to get there.
If you can get 151 yards against this Bison defense, you earn that 1,000-yard season.
Trying to match Michael Hicks, their all-time leading rusher here in Bulldog history, who had 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons in a row. McCoy on the keeper, has enough for the first down out to the 44-yard line.
What a great job by this offense from South Carolina State to get the ball pinned in your own territory, yet move the ball to close to midfield, and Cleveland McCoy making right decisions, hitting the big pass when they needed to. This has been a complete offensive effort, being backed up in their own red zone on their own 1-foot line to get the ball to midfield now.
He was an all-conference performer a year ago. The handoff picks up a couple on first down. The numbers not where they were last year for Cleveland McCoy, but certainly his leadership still pivotal for this team.
Yeah, you know, I had a chance to talk to Cleveland and say, you know, your preseason all-MEAC projection, are you going to be the all-MEAC conference quarterback? And he said, well, who else would you give it to? And I started hollering out some names. He said, only one that could possibly catch me is a kid from Delaware State. And I said, well, you're right. But he said, if I get busy these last couple of weeks, I'm your all-conference quarterback.
I think down in Tallahassee, Albert Chester and FAMU guys might have something to say about that.
Look at the 2 pulling guards. I mean, that's a good job. People don't realize how tough it is when you've got big guys up front, each of them going 305 pounds apiece, and Ashford and Clyde Reed have the ability to squeeze and pull in small space. An underestimated talent. South Carolina State bringing out all the stops, pulling the whole left side of the line, trying to create room for Baker.
Once again, they will change the play at the line of scrimmage. McCoy handles a tough snap. The pump fake, the keeper, another first down as they get inside the 45-yard line of the Bison.
Little things that don't show up in the stat sheet. Veteran leadership by Cleveland McCoy. When this ball snapped, it's on the ground. As a quarterback, you hate to have a ball snapped on the ground because it takes your eye off the defense. So look what Cleveland does. Ball down, loses his read. He wants to run right away. Just because he lost presence of where the defense was, he made up his mind that he was going to take off running. Something that won't show up in the stat sheet, but it was a very key play.
McCoy now on 1st and 10, has plenty of time. He'll drop it off to Ford out of the backfield. Inside the 35. Crunched at the 32-yard line. Another Bulldog first down.
I mean, anytime you get running backs in space, Cleveland going through his read number 1, read number 2, get the ball to my fastest guy on the field, William Ford on the outside. He's just too difficult to bring down that open space like that. He's so fast and he can accelerate. Take a look here. Once he makes the catch, watch him kick into gear. Make one guy miss, zoom, he's running full speed, and he almost ran away from Lockett coming to make the tackle.
You don't want to see that lightning out there in the open field if you're the Bison defenders. The 10th play of the drive here that started inside the 1-yard line. The quick hitter to Terrence Smith gets inside the 25. Tackled on the play by Thomas Claiborne and Orondo Jamerson.
They're doing a really good job of mixing up the combination of run and pass. And, you know, it's always going to be tough to run against Howard. South Carolina State is still running, but they're softening them up with the pass. And Cleveland McCoy is doing a good job of just getting the ball to his playmakers outside and letting them run for extra yards.
Big hole up the middle created by that offensive line for Deshaun Baker to scoot through. Thomas Claiborne again coming up. We're calling a lot of the secondary guys now making the tackles here defensively for Howard.
Yeah, that's not a good omen. You know, you want to hear those guys with the mid numbers, the 50s, 52, 51, 49 making tackles. You start getting in the 20s and the teens, that means you got guys in the secondary tackling. That's a 220-pound running back going against a 170-pound cornerback. I'm going to bet on the 220-pound running back in Deshaun Baker.
12 plays, over 6 minutes, over 80 yards so far on this drive for the Bulldogs through the hands of Terrence Smith around the 10-yard line.
You know, for years, South Carolina State had the offensive philosophy of we're going to pound you, and a lot of that goes back to the Willie Jeffries eras. I mean, he'd sit there and have big 350-pound linemen. They just ram the ball down your throat. I think what you're seeing now is they got soft for a while, but now they're strong again. But they're a flex strong. They're more cut up and chiseled compared to just being big.
Baker hit at the 15-yard line. Yeah, Willie Jeffries so successful here. Of course, Buddy Pugh played a couple of years for Coach Jeffries here, the current head coach for the Bulldogs.
Anytime you get up in there and you got an opportunity to push Howard around the line of scrimmage, lets me know that you're not a soft offensive line. They talk about Clyde Reed at 6'6", 300 pounds down there on the right side, the right tackle for the Bulldogs, being one of the best in conference. I'm a believer because this Howard defensive line has always been the mainstay of the defense, and the Bulldogs have been able to manhandle them early in the game.
They've been able to take care of Piner and Hardy thus far. The pass incomplete with the pressure coming from Timothy Lockett, and that'll bring up 4th down.
And that's a good job by Timothy Lockett. I mean, one of the rules as a defensive coordinator, if you're going to blitz, you at least want the quarterback to get hit. So if you're going to be the blitzing linebacker, make sure you at least hit the quarterback, and Lockett had enough speed to put pressure on McCoy.
Impressive in the 85 yards the drive covered for South Carolina State, but the last 15 the Bison able to hold here, and now instead of giving up the 7, they may only have to give up 3 on the scoreboard. Michael Gaston, the senior from Gainesville, Georgia, on to attempt the kick. On its way, and no good. Missed it to the right. 1:34 to go in the first quarter. No score in Orangeburg.
Introducing the
here at Orangeburg, scoreless, 1:30 to go in the first quarter of play. Both teams have had a scoring opportunity gone by the wayside. This is the 35th meeting in the series, and the last time that Howard was able to pick up a win was in Ray Petty's first year back in 2002. South Carolina State has won the last 3 meetings in a row.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, South Carolina State's a team that over the past 2 years, previous records 9-2, 9-2. So they're one of the premier programs in 1AA football. And, you know, disappointing to them, the fact, and I guess some point later on the telecast we'll talk about the disappointment, because they had a big hurdle to climb in Hampton early in the season, and they finally beat Hampton, and they thought that would be the key to winning the MEAC conference, and they lose last week to Delaware State, so their fate's not in their own hand. But for the past 3 or 4 years, South Carolina State has been one of the better programs in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference and one of the better programs in 1AA football as well. Knocking
on the door of a postseason bid the last couple of years.
How do you go 9-2 consecutive years and don't get an invitation to the playoffs?
The MEAC has on a couple of occasions sent more than one team to the NCAA tournament. They give to Antoine Rutherford on first down from their own 20-yard line after the missed 32-yard field goal attempt from South Carolina State. That coming on the heels of Howard coughing up the football on the goal line in their last possession.
One of the things that I see Howard is doing is they're stepping on the gas. I mean, in between plays, they're getting that play call with 15, 16 seconds on the play clock every time, so they're really trying to wear out this Bulldog defense.
Johnson will change up the play here at the line. Rutherford, actually Johnson with the nice fake. He'll keep it, get out to the 25-yard line. That'll bring up a 3rd and 5.
One of the things that's unique about what Howard does is the quarterback snaps the ball by dropping his hands down, and you got to figure at some point the opposing defense will catch on to that. Once the hands go down, the ball's coming up, but Johnson does a good job of showing why he's the starting quarterback for Howard, because he's the best running quarterback on campus.
Third down here with Leonard Moore in motion. Penalty flag. Johnson, keeper, first down, and Moore lost the ball at the end of the play out at the 35-yard line.
I think he got it back.
Bulldogs came out with the football. At the bottom of the pile was Marshall McFadden, but looks like the officials are still going to keep it with the Bison.
Seven, out on the line, scrimmage. 5 yards, repeat, third down.
Ball was ripped out of there by Thomas Stanley, but apparently Johnson was able to get it back.
Yeah, and they called a penalty, illegal formation on Howard. Sean Wolford, the big left tackle. That's one of those things that you just don't understand. I mean, they say he wasn't on the line of scrimmage. You're the left tackle. Is that a ticky-tack call or not? Probably. But the fact is, you know, don't even make it close. It shouldn't be anything for consideration.
End of the first quarter in Orangeburg on a homecoming weekend. The beer can chicken's out, and so are the ribs on the grill here at South Carolina State.
Timeshare or campground membership? Turn it into cash.
Back here at Oliver C. Dawson Stadium, homecoming weekend in Orangeburg and South Carolina State. They've been playing football here since 1907, and they have been the dominant force in the MEAC. Those 11 championships, the most of any school in the conference, and hoping they will have a shot at another one this year. They will need some help, though. Hampton and Delaware State in the driver's seats. Hampton only has Florida A&M left on the schedule. Delaware State, including today, has 3 games still on the schedule, so they're going to need some help. The Bulldogs are to have a chance.
They are. You know, they've been in this position before. You know, basically it's going to take a miracle. You know, you're talking about Delaware State, which is shown to be one of the better teams in conference, has to lose to 2 of the bottom teams in the conference, in Norfolk State and Howard. Even though, I'm telling everybody, you go up to Howard last game of the year and it's cold and windy, nothing to lose, you can walk away from Green Stadium with the L on your record.
Well, hey, if they continue to play solid here today and get the upset, they may not be at the bottom of the standings by the time that game rolls around. On the pass play, Johnson looking for Leonard Moore, and has enough for the first down. Stephon Gore on the coverage.
Take a look here, Brian Johnson, little guy in the pocket. You know, I said he couldn't be a pocket passer, but he stood strong and tall in the pocket on that one and delivered a strike.
Both clubs have done a nice job of balancing their attacks with the run and the pass, and now Johnson uses the legs across the 40, close to another first down. The flag comes flying in from the secondary.
Perfect example of why you want to use a shift. When they made a shift, they overloaded the right side of the line of scrimmage, and by putting a distraction on the wide receivers, their big right guard, Michael Russell, was able to become a pulling lead guard on that play there. That was a great play by design of the execution with the change in the formation, shifting a strong left formation to a strong right formation, and South Carolina State was not able to make the adjustment in time.
They'll tack on some extra yardage with the face mask at the end of the play. Right there. First down for the Bison. 55 rush plays of their 66 snaps a week ago in their win against Norfolk State. They've been more balanced with a little of the pass and the running game here today, as Johnson is bottled up. Marshall McFadden, the first guy there.
Great job by the Bulldog defense of not allowing Johnson to leave the pocket. You know, he's a guy who likes to scramble and get on edge, but look how they keep him in. They take a wider spread. He wants to go right, but he can't. They make him go in the middle, and you go in the middle, you've got Marshall McFadden waiting to make the tackle.
Tony White was also in on the stop. They're 2 leading tacklers on this defensive unit. Loss of 1 on the play. Rutherford runs it right up the middle. We talked to the defensive coordinator, Tom Evangeliste, yesterday of the Bulldogs, and they've made the switch this year. They've been showing a lot more forefront, and it sounds simple enough. They want to control the line of scrimmage, but when you're trying to execute that,
Easier said than done.
Yes.
I mean, you have a 3-4. You have to have that middle guy in that 3, that nose tackle. He better be able to bring it. And if you've got 4 defensive linemen, it makes it a little bit easier to control the line of scrimmage.
They had to change all of their terminology this year. They've gone to some different verbiage. As Johnson is wrangled down by David Irby, the true freshman from Rock Hill, South Carolina.
And Irby plays what they call the bandit backer down here at South Carolina State. But it is just really a rover. You know, his job is to follow the football, almost like a hybrid between the defensive back and a linebacker. And they think he's going to be an outstanding football player. I mean, he's one of the hardest hitters on this team. And as you mentioned, he's just a baby, just a freshman. So the cupboard is stacked here at South Carolina State for the future.
Bulldogs hold on that 3rd down, so the punter is on. Dennis Veberg. Dominique Henry, the deep man, at his own 11-yard line. He'll take it there. Tries to cut it back into the middle and hauled down by Timothy Lockett. Bulldog ball when we come back to Orangeburg.
The Big East Women's Soccer Championship, Sunday at 10:30 on ESPNU.
Back here in front of a sellout crowd for homecoming in Orangeburg, South Carolina. South Carolina State and Howard scoreless. 12:08 to go in the first half. And ESPNU's Inside the Polls, presented by Conoco, breaks down the new college football polls each Monday night at 6 Eastern with Mike Hall, Mike Godfrey, and Todd McShay. ESPNU Inside the Polls, presented by Conoco, Monday at 6 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com, and we can expect some sort of shake-up after that tussle of unbeatens in the Big East this week.
It will be a very busy and complicated show on Monday with the loss of West Virginia to Louisville, whom you happen to like. You think Louisville's going to be pretty good, but you think they're in trouble.
I think they might be up against it, an undefeated Rutgers team at home next week.
Would you ever have thought that we'd have been saying an undefeated Rutgers team is going to knock off a top 5 team in the country? Wow, college football has come a long way.
What a 10-day stretch it'll be for the Big East Conference. And here in the MEAC, Cleveland McCoy trying to push around a Howard defense that bent a little bit in that first quarter, didn't break and give up any points. They've been solid over the last 3 games. They've been able to hold a team that is driven deep into their own territory and not giving up any points. In fact, it's over 19 quarters now with just 1 rushing touchdown allowed as they are working against the top rushing attack here in the MEAC.
Yeah, I mean, that's a credit to the coaching staff. I mean, we talked to Coach Pugh, and he had the utmost respect for Coach Ray Petty over at Howard. He said he's probably one of the smartest defensive minds in this conference, if not the country. And traditionally, I mean, Howard, not only do they do it on defense, but they've got, 4 or 5 guys playing in the NFL now that came here from the defense. So when you talk about premier defenses and the scheme and the technique and the coaching, Howard's got that down to a science.
3rd and long, McCoy across the middle, and it's intercepted. Ricky Jackson, the sophomore from Colorado Springs, his 2nd pick of the season.
We talked about the fact this defense gets on, and if you make a mistake, they're not going to make one. They're going to be in the right place at the right time. And Ricky Jackson does a great job of reading Cleveland McCoy's eyes, coming right to your living room. Look at McCoy. When you lock in that long, as a free safety, you got to move to the football. And McCoy drew Jackson right to the football.
Howard turned it over once, and now the Bison get one back on the pick. That is the 8th interception thrown this year by Cleveland McCoy. And Howard with a golden opportunity here. They'll start out 1st and 10 from the Bulldogs' 28-yard line. And hauled down is Brian Johnson by Eric Turner, the senior from Athens, Georgia.
That's something you can't afford. Take a look at Johnson here. He takes the short drop, and once you do this, after that pump, take off. There's nobody in front of you. He waits and gives that defensive lineman that extra split second to make the shoestring tackle.
That was actually Lloyd, 87, not 97, that made the tackle. Loss of a couple on the play. Johnson rolling right, throwing deep, and that's intercepted at the 10. Howard got one, and then they gave it right back. Marky Hamlin, the redshirt freshman from Lamar, South Carolina, picks it and then brings it 11 yards back the other way.
I mean,
And he got away with this throw earlier in the game when the wide receiver Duncan was able to get by the safety. But this time it wasn't a cover 3 look. It was a cover 2 look. Hamlin had no place to go. All he could do was break to the ball on the sideline with the quarterback rolling in that direction. That's just a poor read, and Johnson had to pay the price by adding an interception to his stat sheet.
So South Carolina State's defense gets it right back. That is just the second interception that Johnson has thrown this year. And the give is to Deshaun Baker. One man to beat across midfield, trying to outrun Jeffrey Pope. And Pope, with that 4.3 speed, able to haul him down at the 11-yard line.
What a great job by Deshaun Baker. Not only did the offensive line do a good job of making up this hole. You see him cut back against the grain here. Howard overflows, but once Baker gets in open space, we mentioned Jeffrey Pope, the fastest guy on this Bison team coming. When he gets to him, Baker gives him that little dead leg to pick up an extra 15 yards.
59 yards on the carry by Deshaun Baker, who the coaches at South Carolina State say should definitely be in discussions for the MEAC Player of the Year this season.
I think so too. And one thing about Deshaun Baker, I mean, last year he had a down year. He was supposed to be the Offensive Player of the Year in the conference, but he was coming off of a knee injury. And when I asked coaches, I said, is he back? They said, oh, he's definitely back. So it really does take a solid year to recover from that type of injury. And I think Deshaun Baker's back at 100% now.
He's catching his breath right now. Off the play action, the pass complete inside the 5-yard line to Terrence Smith. Byron Patrick saving the touchdown with the tackle, making his first start of the season today.
You see Terrence Prince just sit down in the middle of the Bison zone defense, catch the ball, make himself a big target, make the catch, and accelerate to the end zone.
Third down and a couple. They have to get inside the 1-yard line to pick up a first down. McCoy keeping it all the way, looking for a block, the cutback, and he's pushed out of bounds.
Very dangerous. That ball easily could have been considered thrown out of bounds before at the pylon and gone back to the Howard Bison defense. You take a look here, McCoy trying to get that extra yard. See, if he holds that ball over there and he fumbles it out the end zone, whoa, which way did this football go?
It go inside the pylon?
It went inside the pylon off a South Carolina State defender who was in the end zone. They're very fortunate. This should be Howard football. From that angle there, it should be Howard football.
Fourth down and short. The chains are still up on the far side. They can get a first down inside the 1.
Look for some lightning.
Lightning, not enough of it. The Bison hold on 4th down and short, and it's Timothy Lockett, the captain and all MEAC middle linebacker. They continue to be one of the best teams in the country defending on 4th down. For a pickup of 4 on first down. It's 2nd and 6 for Howard coming off the big goal line stand. Brian Johnson nowhere to go as he tried to follow Travis Harmon up the middle.
Here's one of the problems. When you've got a spread offense type attack and you get backed up in your own end zone inside your own goal line, it's kind of tough to bring 4 wide receivers out here and run the football when the team knows you don't want to throw the football. So right now, Howard's tried to spread out the Bulldogs, but South Carolina State's not biting. They're keeping 7 guys close to the line of scrimmage.
Xavier Littleberry with that last tackle. They show blitz now on 3rd down. Johnson throwing out of his own end zone, incomplete. Looking to the near sideline for Michael Harper, the true freshman from Stone Mountain, Georgia. And now Dennis Viberg will have to punt it out of his own end zone.
And that's one of the things when you don't have a passing attack. You know, you can have a passing game. You know, everybody can draw plays and throw the football. But when you don't have an attack, wide receivers tend to stay in their break a little too long. DBs start to react, and quarterbacks force the ball a little bit too soon. So until they develop some chemistry in their passing attack, they're going to truly continue to be one-dimensional on offense.
Viberg to boot it away. Dominique Henry back at the 40-yard line. Low end over end. The one hopper picked up by Henry inside the 35. Cuts it back inside the 30 against the grain. Popped at the 25-yard line on the big stick from Vince. Moorhead back after this. Spectacular homecoming Saturday here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. SCSU taking on the Howard Bisons. Scoreless with 6:42 to go, but it's been one of the most exciting scoreless affairs we've come across over the years. Both teams have had opportunities right on the other side's goal line and have not been able to punch it in yet. And terrific field position to start out here for South Carolina State in the all-red jerseys, Howard in all white. 1st and 10 from the 24-yard line after the punt return. And this time it's Thunder William Ford on the carry. The true freshman from Travelers Rest, South Carolina.
Travelers West. Ford is coming here. You know, as a freshman, if you want to get playing time, do what William Ford did. 6 touchdowns on the year, averages 7.7 yards per carry. If your average is that high, I don't care who the starting running back is, coach will find a way to keep you in the football game.
He is the 100-meter state champion from a year ago. Was all-state in football as well as track. They'll use him as the decoy here on the play action. McCoy scrambling. Pass completed. It'll be good for the first down.
We talked about how we had a scoreless ball game where Howard drove down, got to the 1-inch line, and Rutherford put the ball on the turf there, and then South Carolina State backed up. Cleveland McCoy locking in on one receiver a little bit too long, and Ricky Jackson came up with the interception, but Howard gave it right back with another interception on a poorly thrown ball by Brian Johnson. And you wonder why things are 0-0? Well, when teams come out and can't execute in the red zone, turning the football over, you don't expect either team to score a lot of points.
McCoy, they'll run the option to the short side.
Beautiful.
Ford scampers inside the 10, knocked out of bounds at the 6-yard line.
Haven't seen one of these in a while. This is a freeze option. A freeze option. You'll see what I'm talking about when I say freeze. Watch McCoy get down the line of scrimmage, freeze that guy right there on the top of the screen. The moment he commits one way or the other, make the pitch and give the ball to a wide open William Ford to pick up that yardage. So William Ford got the yardage, but Cleveland McCoy did a great job of freezing that outside linebacker.
2nd down and 4. Ford tackled right at the line of scrimmage, and a penalty flag down on the play as well. Robert Dowdy, the senior from Fayetteville, North Carolina, and Timothy Lockett making the tackle. I believe it's going to be a holding. Good penetration from the left side of that line that time defensively for Howard, with Hardy, Wooten, and Piner making the push.
They do. Robert Dowdy, good to see he's able to play this afternoon. There was a question mark about his health for this game, and you know, you'd hate to see seniors have to sit out their last games in their collegiate career, so it's good to see Dowdy able to participate and also make an impact on the game.
They are very thin at linebacker. In fact, just 4 guys for the 3 spots all day today. They'll run the reverse pitch to Trey Young with a blocker in front of him. Touchdown, South Carolina State. 15 yards on the reverse for the touchdown.
Very similar to what like a screen pass is. You've got a defense that's very aggressive and flows to the football. You have to give them some misdirection, and they caught them peeking in the backfield on the reverse to Trey Young. Take a look here. McCoy comes down the line. Looks like that freeze option again, but they snuck Young around the backfield. He was out there in space. Great downfield blocking by the offensive lineman, Nate Richardson, leading on that one there, and it was a great play call by the Bulldogs.
Extra point is good. 4 plays, didn't even have to use 2 minutes off the clock. Everybody going right except Trey Young. He'll head to the left and run it 16 yards for the score. 7-0 South Carolina State with the lead, and big old Nathaniel Richardson led the way on the reverse.
He deserves a lot of credit. Take a look at the left side of your screen, number 71. Watch him come off of one block and then accelerate down the field. Now we're going to focus on Young. Young's going to get there, but look who's blocking 15 yards downfield. That big shadow you see, Maul and Jeffrey Pope, that's Nate Richardson. And oh yeah, every lineman after a touchdown, yeah, baby, give it to me. I'll give it up to you, Nate Richardson. That's showing some athleticism when you're that big. 6'5", 305 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what are they putting in the water down here in the low country?
The pride of Wando High School in Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, leading the way for Trey Young, the redshirt freshman from Charleston. Sold perfectly by the offense for South Carolina State.
Now, you know what I would have done differently? If I was Trey Young, I'd have turned around, given the ball to Nate Richardson and let him spike it. You know, linemen, they don't get opportunities to do that often. They're normally 30 yards downfield watching touchdown.
Kickoff is headed towards Leonard Moore. Fumbles it at the 6, scoops it up, and is on his way down the sideline. Across the 35, the juke at the 40 as he gets out close to midfield to set up Howard with good field position with under 5 minutes to go in the half. 36 yards on the return for Leonard Moore, who was slow to get up at the end of the play.
I mean, that was a great return by Leonard Moore. It was all him. Let me tell you, if this is a better clicking special teams unit, this is the touchdown. Because once he gets out there, Moore makes all these people miss. You've got number 33 right there on the kicker. He's blocking the kicker, and he was scared to put a shoulder pad on that kicker because the kicker was the only person that could get in the way. And hats off to the kicker for diverting Moore on that return. Otherwise, that was easily 7 points. How are you scared to put a shoulder pad on the kicker?
Well, you don't usually see the kicker come up with those. Johnson shovels it. Number 11 on your scorecard, Martin December, a converted quarterback.
You know, a little inside shovel pass, and that's actually one of those option plays as well. You've got a 3-level option. The quarterback can pitch it behind him for a pitch, or he can pitch it in front of him for a shovel pass. And in that case, he made the same read off the end for the shovel pass.
Picked up 9 on the play, and they'll have the first down here inside the 40-yard line. Antoine Rutherford.
Rutherford's one of those guys that his career at Howard's been up and down. I mean, he came in, he was the MEAC Newcomer of the Year his freshman year, rushed for over 1,000 yards as a true freshman, and got kind of hit with the injury bug and a lot of things. Kind of disappointing turnout for his overall career, but his senior season, he's stepping up to the occasion and having a pretty good senior year.
First down for the Bison. Trying to capitalize on the good kick return. The pitch behind Carlos Whitaker, who bobbled it, trying to hang on, and is knocked out of bounds at the line of scrimmage for no gain.
That's several times in this game we've seen Howard go to the pitch, running the option on the short side of the field. Not a big fan of it, but that's something that you must game plan that you see, because they're just swarming to the ball, and there's not a lot of real estate over there, and you can tell how quickly the Bulldogs were able to get to the football.
Well, Quinn Ellerby, the first guy there to make the tackle. Second down and 11. Johnson to the air. Completes the pass to Michael Harper for the first down and then some.
And this is what I'm talking about, the passing game with chemistry. I mean, this is one where he should make that catch and be so used to making the catch. He catches that ball, he turns upfield, he runs for another 25 yards. But take a look here. After he makes this catch, he turns around and starts to stumble. There's nobody around him, so that wasn't even a tackle. But when you've got an aggressive wide receiving core, they touch that football, they turn upfield, and they get those rack yards, those run-after-catch yards. That they've got to work on the passing game chemistry at Howard University.
16 yards on that pass play. First and 10 from the 24-yard line. Johnson will look to the air again. Pass incomplete. We should note, too, Jay, that Howard is working without perhaps 4 of their top wide receivers. That's been one of the positions that they've been decimated by injuries.
I mean, and that's true, they have a lot of injuries, but one thing about it, when you come out with a spread offense with a 4 wide receiver look at all time, you need 10 of them. So, you know, if 3 go down, you should have another 7 ready to step up. So, you know, I mean, at all times, they're putting 3 or 4 wide receivers out there, and they just have to find some playmakers.
Ray Petty calls it the equal opportunity offense this year. They've used 19 different wide receivers that have made a catch. Johnson, the 5th different quarterback that they've used this year on the scamper. And they've also had 12 guys that have carried the football this season as they've searched for some consistency.
So basically, if you've got an offensive number, you're going to touch the field at Howard. you know how you say tackle eligible. If you're eligible to get the football at Howard, you probably will get a catch. And, you know, I think one thing about it, I asked Coach Petty before the game, I said, are you sold on Johnson as your quarterback? He said, I'm sold. So he's the quarterback for this year and for next year, and I think that's part of the reason we haven't seen them do the quarterback carousel they've been doing all season long.
I thought we might see some of Floyd Hagler, who is from here in Orangeburg, as Rutherford gets the carry on 3rd and 4. And did he pick up 3.5 or 4.5? As the officials look over to the sideline in the chains.
You're down here in Orangeburg, and it's their homecoming. I think he's going to get the 3.5 instead of the 4.5. It'll be a 4th down coming up.
Maybe back in D.C. they would have gotten the 4.5.
You know, you talk about Hagler. It's not to say that Hagler won't play. Yep. You know, Hagler's a guy where he said the two that will be competing for the starting job will be Hagler and Johnson. But right now, Johnson's my guy. A lot of things can change in the spring because Hagler's more the pure passer. And I think, you know, down the road, he's got that more deep ball threat potential. He's got the most potential, but right now, Johnson's the better chance at winning.
And they put the chain down, and looks like they did give him, no, maybe they did give it to him. Very close.
That's 4th down. You got to know where you are.
They gave him the 3 3/4. That was it.
For years in the MEAC conference, when I played in the MEAC, the toughest road trip you made was to South Carolina State because there was a bus involved in the trip somewhere. I mean, it didn't matter if you flew into Columbia or Charleston. You were getting on a bus. You were going to stay in a hotel. The whole city knew where you were staying. And Willie Jeffries would wet down the field, put potholes in the field. He was going to do whatever it took. Now that's kind of been neutralized because they got this new little flubber turf down there. But some things just never change. If you're 2 inches ahead, when the measurement comes, you're going to be 2 inches short. I'm just joking, Bulldog fans. I'm just joking.
8th play here, and it will be 4th and short for the Bison. Down 7-0 with under 2 minutes to go, and Johnson jumps forward and appears to have enough. Yeah, there was some concern that the turf may be a little slick. This is only the 3rd home game that they have played here. It is just an absolutely gorgeous facility here at Dawson Bulldogs Stadium, and the turf is going to just be something that they will enjoy for years to come here.
I wish they'd had it back when I played. I mean, I really do, because, you know, there's some stories. I'm not making that up about the potholes on the grass and the wet field, but it's neutralizing. But I mean, it's such a great turf. And when I was down on the field, if you don't have the right cleat size, you could really slip all over the place.
Johnson incomplete.
Wow, what a great play call.
That was a terrific call. Looking for the tight end, Charles Hatton, slipping off the end of the line.
I mean, this is outstanding. He does a good job, Johnson does, selling the dive option, get the ball up there. Now put that ball on him, but because the linebacker was in the way, he had to go over the linebacker. He didn't have a clear line of vision to the tight end, but it was a great play call by Howard, and that's one you just have to capitalize on.
2nd and 10. From the 13. Johnson with the give, and scooting into the end zone for the touchdown is Carlos Whitaker. His 2nd touchdown of the season. The transfer from Navy punches it in. And they're an extra point away from tying it up with 1:26 to go in the half.
Yeah, good job by Johnson of staying with Whitaker all the way to the last second. Johnson didn't make up his mind whether or not he was going to pull that ball out of his belly or let him keep running with it to the very last moment. So it's a good job by Whitaker of holding on to the football and the execution by the offensive line up front.
Terrific response to the Bulldog touchdown. The Bison come back and get one of their own. And we are all tied up at 7. Whitaker capping off a 10-play, 58-yard drive with the touchdown scamper.
Yeah,
Back here at South Carolina State, and the response from Howard to tie it at 7.
I mean, take a look here at Brian Johnson. Look at, once the ball's in his hands, look how long he rides out this play-action fake to Carlos Whitaker. 2 Bulldog defenders overrun Whitaker. He decides, oh, okay, I'm going to keep it to him. And once Whitaker gets by the initial contact at the line of scrimmage, touchdown for the Bison. Very tough to do. I mean, very hard when you talk about the hand-eye coordination, because you really have less than a split second to decide if you're going to give it to him or not. In that case, he took probably a full second to allow South Carolina State to overrun with their pursuit angles, and Whitaker was the beneficiary.
All set up with the good kick return that started out the drive, and then the 4th down conversion deep in South Carolina State territory to keep things going.
Did we mention these two teams don't like each other? I mean, throw the records out. I mean, they're going to do some hitting. They're going to, you know, one thing that Howard was not going to do was come on Bulldogs Stadium and get embarrassed.
Yep.
They're going to show up. And the key is, I don't think they have enough offensive firepower to hang with the Bulldogs. But if the defense can come to play, I mean, this could go down as another dandy in the Howard-South Carolina State rivalry.
They've been able to sustain a couple of long drives to keep that potent offense from South Carolina State on the sideline. And we've got a penalty flag before they'll even get a chance to kick it away.
Unbelievable.
Another
Unbelievable.
delay a game on the kickoff.
And they were on the field, you know, 45 seconds ago. As a kicker, that's the kicker's fault. He's got to know.
I think we'll give the assist to the South Carolina State band, which I believe that's the horn section has strategically placed itself right in front of the game clock that the
Blocking
kicker
the
is
clock.
looking at.
He can't see it. They're ground level. They're getting ready to do their thing at halftime, and the kicker couldn't see the 25-second clock.
Both sides with close to 200 yards of total offense here in this first half. South Carolina State will have another possession here with $1:20 to go, and they'll start off from their own 35-yard line.
I think when we talk about all the rules in college football, this is what really makes it different. See, when that clock starts ticking right now, your 2-minute offense is shut down by at least 5 plays. Now, fortunately for the Bulldogs, they have timeouts. But I remember when I was in college, at minute 20, we run our whole offense, and then some.
McCoy has to throw that one away under pressure.
It's questionable whether or not that was intentional grounding or not.
Howard calling for the penalty flag. None flew on the play. Now it comes in late. Marvin Wooten sold it to the official there.
I'm going to give him credit. I think that's the right call because there was nobody out there.
Intentional ground, number 19. Offense. Ball sit down, spotted foul.
That "oh come on man" was uttered by McCoy, the quarterback. Did not agree.
I mean, McLeod did a good job of trying to act like he was back there, but look over here around the 40-yard line where the ball's going out of bounds. There's clearly, I mean, there's nobody. Let's see, the ball goes out around the 45. I mean, there's nobody within 10 yards north or south of the football, and definitely east or west. So the officials got it right.
Well, that could be big because that's loss of down, and Howard has all 3 of its timeouts left. The pass caught to Gerald McLeod out to the 40-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd and 5.
So the key is, you know, what happens here, whether or not they're going to continue on with this drive. I really do believe if they don't get the first down right now, then they're going to punt the ball. But if Howard can make a stop, then look for Howard to call timeout.
3rd down and 6. McCoy will keep it. First down across midfield.
Now look for State to call a timeout. So you got to look as a quarterback. You got to know the moment I get this first down, timeout, timeout. They let probably another 5 or 6 seconds tick off the clock. But good job by Cleveland McCoy calling his own number with the freeze draw up the middle. Got blockers up front for him. And once he picks up that first down, call timeout. Call timeout right now. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. 5 seconds off the clock.
Pickup of 14 on the carry right behind Raymond Harrison, the sophomore center, who's been a 2-year starter in front of Cleveland McCoy. 31 seconds to go on the half, all tied up at 7.
When you get there now, the key thing for Howard is, you know, make sure you keep the ball in front of you. I mean, we realize that South Carolina State has a better passing game, but you got to make sure, don't let them have that timeout all the way to the last second. You know, the key is keep everybody in front of you, make a solid tackle, and make South Carolina State go through those tackles as soon as possible. Go through those timeouts, I'm sorry, as soon as possible. You talk about breaking tackles, Cleveland McCoy, I mean, he can do that. He's a weapon on offense.
He's the guy they look to for leadership in these situations, the junior from Hollywood, South Carolina. Real key for him that the coaches have tried to stress is don't always be looking for the big play. Don't try and do too much. Stay within yourself. Play action. Has to shake loose from a defender. Now looking deep downfield towards the end zone. Incomplete. Looking for Trey Young, but Jeffrey Pope was all over him. Had good coverage down there in the end zone.
I mean, what you start to wonder, if Jeffrey Pope didn't have that 4.3 speed, he just gave up 7 points. So he had to rely on the speed. What you wonder is, how does a guy get this open in this type of situation? One-on-one coverage, and Pope had the acceleration to catch up and outrun Young there, but don't put yourself in that type of position as a defensive back. He's playing trail technique, and he almost got to that ball, but at the same time, Young almost came down with an outstanding grab, and the official could have thrown a flag for pass interference.
On second down, the pass caught, and getting out of bounds was Kelly King to stop the clock with 15 seconds to go.
What you're seeing now is Cleveland McCoy starting to find the ability to make the first tackler miss. So they're bringing the blitz off the edge. But watch Cleveland just step up in the pocket, buy that extra second, deliver a strike, then get rid of the football. If they keep doing that, Howard has to stop blitzing.
13 yards on the pickup. To the air again, incomplete. The closest guy to it was a white jersey, Thomas Claiborne, the senior out of Pittsburgh. 11 seconds to go in the half. The long this season for their field goal kicker, Michael Gaston, is 36 yards, which he kicked last week. So they still have some territory to cover before they're in range.
And Howard's playing a soft cover 3. They better be careful and get somebody up this guy running up the seam.
To the air, incomplete. Oh, we had Gerald McLeod out there.
Wow. I mean, the coverage, I almost think they blew a coverage. They were playing a very soft cover 3, and the weakness of a cover 3 is in the seam. And McLeod was a guy there, and McCoy just couldn't deliver. Had he been able to deliver, he was there. He had a nice pocket. That's when he wishes he had back. The hash mark was wide open. He could have stuck that ball in there, and that would have been a big pickup for the Bulldogs.
Could be the last play of the half here. 5 seconds to go.
Make sure you throw the ball to the end zone.
4 receivers and Deshaun Baker in the backfield. And a timeout called by Howard. They want to talk some things over here.
Yeah, I think they need to work on their coverage. I mean, South Carolina State's coming out with 4 wide receivers set. Howard's playing a 3 deep zone, which means you only have 3 people deep. So the weakness in that is going up the seams, up the hash marks, and I don't think you need to play any type of cover 3.
I'd like to remind you, we've got some more football coming your way on ESPNU. It's the Legacy Classic. The Morehouse Maroon Tigers taking on the Golden Eagles of Miles. College football primetime on ESPNU Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com and get ready for Miles and Morehouse here on ESPNU. As a quarterback, what do you like to look for in a situation like this? You got one shot at it. You go to a certain guy, or you have a certain feel?
I always like tall guys in this instance because you got to throw the ball in the end zone. So I would look for a tall guy, and then, you know, if you got a strong enough arm, you want to make one of those throws where you can throw a laser beam type pass. So I used to have something where I'd set up and tell my tallest receiver, go to the end zone. Once you get to the end zone, turn around. I had the ability to throw a 30-yard curl route. Now, Cleveland McCoy, I don't know, but that was the type of stuff I would look for, like a little freeze in the end zone. But you got to go to the end zone.
Smith and McLeod are the 2 tall guys, and he is going to the end zone. Up for grabs and intercepted by Jeffrey Pope. As time expires here in the first half, homecoming weekend in Orangeburg. And a treat for the fans, tied at 7 here at the break. Pope with the pick to end the first half. When we come back, SportsCenter U update. We'll get you caught up with news from around the country, plus sounds from the bands here at Bulldog Stadium.
For the first time that we've seen, and both of them on not very good teams. What happened?
No homecoming complete without a little battle of the bands. It's showtime for the Howard Marching Band right now in Orangeburg. We are all tied up at the half. 7 apiece, Howard and South Carolina State. Jay, let's take a look at those first half highlights. Both teams gave it away early on.
Yeah, nobody really wanted to win. It was pretty much scoreless throughout the first quarter. Turnovers. Howard had an impressive first drive, but they got down to the 1-foot line and fumbled the football. South Carolina State didn't do any better. You see Cleveland McCoy getting picked off here by Richardson, and then Howard couldn't capitalize, gave the ball right back on the ensuing possession, making it 0-0. But then they started to understand the defense and settle down, and South Carolina State went to the old-fashioned end around to Trey Young with a key block by Nate Richardson down the field to get on the scoreboard first. Howard did a good job of responding with Carlos Whitaker going in for the touchdown run to make it 7-7, and we ended the first half like we started it with an interception. Jeffrey Pope picking off the Cleveland McCoy pass.
That's why we are all tied up at 7 apiece. And now a look at the South Carolina State marching 101.
Can I get a
Carolina State, the Bulldogs tied with the Howard Bisons 7 apiece as we get set to start the third quarter. And Howard looking for the upset on the road, trying to spoil homecoming weekend here in Orangeburg. South Carolina State all in red, Howard all in white. SCSU looking to keep alive their slim hopes of getting a piece of the MEAC championship and the automatic bid to the NCAA playoffs. Howard receiving this third quarter kickoff, and they will start from their own 27-yard line. Got to be a confident bunch as they head back out on the field. Really, you know, when you talk about that fumble on the goal line in the first quarter, they could very easily be up a touchdown here.
And what they need to do is emulate that recipe they used on their first drive of the game by driving down the field right now. One thing to note, the Howard defense was on the field a long time in that second quarter, so you don't want time on the field to become a factor. Go out there and execute and allow your defense to get plenty of rest.
Brian Johnson back at quarterback. He'll take the snap and keep it after the fake to Rutherford, and Johnson scoots about 9 or 10 yards on the first down play.
Yeah, and that's a good job by Brian Johnson. One thing that offensive coordinators love is positive yardage on first down. Whether you gain 2, 3, 4, or 9 like Johnson did, just gain positive yards. Become a running back, get upfield, then when you get hit, protect the football, second and short. That's an offensive coordinator's dream.
It'll be 2nd and 1. From their own 37-yard line. Johnson out of the gun. Will keep it once again. Slides close to the 40. He'll have the first down, and they'll move the chains for Howard. Marquis Hamlin, who had an interception in that first half, the redshirt freshman from Lamar, South Carolina, making the stop. He and Marshall McFadden, the starting outside linebacker, played for the Silver Foxes of Lamar High School and won 3 consecutive state championships here in South Carolina. On the handoff for a short gainer on 1st and 10 to Carlos Whitaker, who scored the touchdown. Keon Brooks and Patrick Reed on the tackle.
How do you lose to a high school football team called the Silver Foxes? You know, you can beat me up if you're the Pirates or the Bears or the Grizzlies. The Silver Foxes, you guys sound more like a fraternity.
More like a bingo hall of some sort.
Wow, the Silver Foxes, but they've got a great program, a couple state championships, so who am I to complain?
Highly successful. They're cagey that way. They sneak up on you with that nickname. They obviously know how to produce some terrific talent. Marquis' brother Michael starting for the Clemson Tigers in their secondary today.
One of the things on this drive here, we talk about the difference in when you get positive yardage on first down. Now this is 3rd down, 3rd and 7, and when you've got a team that's relying on running the football, these aren't makeable first down opportunities. So look for Howard to kind of pull a trick play out of the back.
3rd down and 8. Blitz coming, ball batted up in the air and falls incomplete. Marshall McFadden from those Silver Foxes of Lamar, South Carolina High School gets in there to knock it down.
And the key is the fact that Howard was 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. You know, you can bring pressure, and you know they don't have a sophisticated passing attack. 2 unblocked Bulldog defenders coming in the face of a quarterback, Brian Johnson. He's not tall enough to throw over an outside linebacker on a blitz. Johnson actually ended up making a nice defensive play there to get a piece of McFadden so he couldn't go and pluck that ball out of the air. So the punting unit is on. Dominique Henry back deep for South Carolina State at his own 15-yard line.
Look out.
Oh, snap bobbled. And it's taken by South Carolina State. Recovered by Dustin DuBose, and a big break for the Bulldogs. They'll have it in excellent field position when we come back.
Bergwood, you're on the goalpost truck, you're on the car, I'm on lookout. Bergwood, are you wearing spandex?
Yeah, I got them out of my mom's drawer.
It's very sexy.
You think?
No. Yeah! Go, 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 go.
This is gonna look great in my yard.
Bergwood?
Is the strength of Allstate behind your favorite college football team?
Founded in 1896, South Carolina State University has a long-standing tradition of producing leaders in an array of professions, including 6 college presidents and more African-American military officers than any other institution. SCSU has over 5,000 students and offers more than 50 different fields of study. Under the leadership of President Dr. Andrew Hougini Jr., SCSU will continue to prepare students to become well-educated, productive citizens in our dynamic global society. This is South Carolina State University.
Dennis Viberg not pleased after the botched punt attempt. Joshua August from right here in Orangeburg, the long snapper.
I mean, look, the ball was off center, and that long snapper for Howard gets a lot of velocity on that snap. So when you snap the ball and make him go to the right, that's a difficult catch when the ball's moving that far. And, you know, I'm one of those guys from the old school. Punters aren't great athletes. So if that ball's not snapped right down the middle, you can count on them botching the fumble there. But 2 things there. 1, he's got to come up with that ball, no defense. But 2, I think they got to take a little velocity off of that snap. I mean, that ball was really moving.
So now a big challenge for the Howard defense, which has held strong all day through the first half. And now they'll be under some pressure here. 1st and 10 for South Carolina State from the Bison 27-yard line.
And this is normally when a Buddy Pugh coach team starts to pull away from you. They wear you down, they beat you up, and then they start to expose your weaknesses on all aspects.
With that top rushing attack in the MEAC, they'll go to the air to Kelly King for a short gain. Good coverage from Thomas Claiborne, the senior from Pittsburgh.
That one play right there has really changed the whole landscape of college football. I mean, you know, this was unheard of when I played, just taking one step and throwing it to a wide receiver, you know, 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage. But I think what it does, it just softens up the defense, and it gives playmakers a chance to make plays in more space.
Big opportunity here for South Carolina State. 1st down for the Bulldogs down to the 12-yard line. Cleveland McCoy with the keeper.
Yeah, and, you know, once the defensive end follows the running back for that 1 second, McCoy pulls that ball out of there and utilizes his legs. We thought we'd see Cleveland running the ball a little bit more than we have, and maybe that's their game plan in the second half, get Cleveland's legs more involved in the game.
14 yards on that pickup. And now it's to Deshaun Baker to the 5. South Carolina State trying to pounce after the botched punt attempt.
Now here's where you earn your keep, so to speak. You know, you can get fancy and bring out 4 wide receivers and throw wide receiver screens to Kelly King. But once you get this ball inside the 10-yard line, do you have the strength to ram the ball down your opponent's throat?
They have Spencer Miller, number 81, in there at fullback. The up back in the eye with Baker behind him. They'll go option left. McCoy, keeper, touchdown.
Somebody blew an assignment. Take a look here. Everybody's got assignments, so somebody's assigned to the quarterback, and I think it's the free safety. So you'll see the linebacker run up to get the running back, so he had the pitch man. The free safety is generally responsible for that quarterback on the pitch. He cannot go untouched. So I'm kind of thinking that Ricky Jackson, who picked off McCoy earlier, is responsible for the mistake on defensive responsibility.
Less than a minute after that botched punt, South Carolina State able to capitalize. The extra point is good, and they are up 14-7 now early in this third quarter. Cleveland McCoy doesn't get the uniform dirty on this one. Untouched into the end zone.
The ESPN College Game Day Apparel Collection. Every game matters.
Back here at South Carolina State, the Bulldogs scoring the touchdown off of the botched punt attempt from Howard, and they take the 14-7 lead. Cleveland McCoy now 50 yards on the ground, and the 6-yard score to end that scoring drive, and under 2 minutes needed to cover the ground.
No wonder he's all smiles as a quarterback. Anytime you get to run into the end zone untouched, then hey, it's an easy day at the office.
Let's see how the Bison can respond now on their next possession. Last time South Carolina State scored to take the 7-0 lead, Howard marched right down the field to even things up with a score of their own. Going to be a short kick, fair catch called for at the 26-yard line. And that's where Howard will take over.
This will be a good test for the Bison offense led by Brian Johnson to see what type of mental toughness they have. I mean, this is a situation right now with this drive where if they don't respond, this game can get away from them very quickly. You've got a homecoming crowd here that's ready to get involved in the game to explode and to make this a homecoming blowout. So if Howard's not very careful, protect the football, but still go out there and attack, because you have to retaliate.
They'll bring all the receivers in tight here. Out of the shotgun, Johnson. And that pass comes up well short of the intended receiver. Looked like he never quite had a grasp of it as he was trying to make the pass.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a short throw motion there, and when you're that close to the line of scrimmage, he's just not going to be a guy that can be comfortable in the pocket. I mean, he's not going to pick you apart. So the thing about it, when you bring all those receivers into a tight formation like that, it's a lot tougher to read the coverage. Right now, when they're lined up, they're spread out, so you can read it. But once you get everybody in tight, you have to have the ability to read coverages.
Calls his own number out across the 30 to about the 33-yard line. Marcus James was there along with David Irby making the tackle.
And that's the flip side of why you have a quarterback like Brian Johnson as your trigger man. I mean, he's not going to read coverages. He's not going to pick you apart, but he's got the legs, and in this offense, the legs have it.
They are the second leading rushing team in the MEAC behind South Carolina State, who's tops in the conference. Off the pump fake. And the pass is caught across midfield and down to the 48-yard line. Leonard Moore hauled it in, the junior from Las Vegas.
And that's how you respond there. I mean, that was a great job there with Moore pulling down the 15-yard grab. And, in an efficient passing attack, you hit him in stride, and he's still running. Then all of a sudden, you make that safety come up, Thomas Stanley, in trail position.
Ball popped out at the end of the play, but the play had already been whistled dead on the run from Antoine Rutherford. Tony White made a big hit.
One thing we haven't seen Howard do, and you wonder why they wouldn't do more. You got a punishing running back like Rutherford, and even if it's not Rutherford, when it was Coleman throughout the year, why not have a quarterback that can run? Give him a bootleg. I mean, I haven't seen any bootleg calls. Everything's been a fake draw or a straight draw back or a rollout. Give him a little play-action pass.
He'll go to the air, and the pass complete to Ulysses Alexander at 6'5". He's a big target, the transfer from Auburn.
And that's what you like to see. When you've got a guy with that type of frame, you want him to run across the middle and make himself big. So he does a good job on this slant route of getting his body between himself and the quarterback and takes the hit and holds on to the football. And that's a good job. You want big receivers to play big.
Finding some openings now in the secondary. They follow up the 15-yard pass play with the 12-yarder. Complete there to Alexander.
One thing I'll give him credit for, they know Brian Johnson to have a lot of arm, so he's throwing most of his passes to the short side of the field. He's not even looking over here to the right where he's got all this field on the bottom of the screen to cover.
Give. Rutherford steaming forward, churning close to another first down. Antoine's been very workmanlike today. Hamlin and Reed in on the tackle.
I mean, he's a low. When he gets those shoulders square and he attacks the hole, makes one cut. I mean, look at this. After the initial contact, boom, he still goes forward and leans forward for those extra 2 yards. That's what you call a workhorse.
3rd and short. Johnson did a nice job of waiting for the block and then followed it through the gap for the first down.
Looks like Howard's rising to the occasion. You know, we said the pressure was on. They couldn't afford to do a 3-and-out. They had to move the football and put some type of points on the board. Now, though they haven't punched the ball in, this time on the sideline is so valuable for the defense.
Chance for them to catch their breath now. This is the 9th play of the drive that started back on their own 26-yard line following the South Carolina State touchdown. Johnson hesitated a couple of times, picked up maybe 2 on the play.
But that's okay. That's okay, because one of the keys we talk about is positive yardage on first down. It's not like they're coming up and it's 2nd and 10. It can be 2nd and 8, and you can go ahead and get 2 or 3 yards on first down. It's just like a bad running play call, but if they can continue positive yardage, that's a plus.
And making just the 5th start of his career, you don't want to make those negative plays either. Toss those interceptions.
State needs to bring some pressure and start blitzing Johnson.
There comes the pressure and the handoff to Whitaker, and he is stood up just about as soon as he got it. A host of defenders there led by big Eric Turner.
And Eric Turner's a guy they said has the motor on this Bulldog defense, coming right up the middle there. He beats his man off the block, and once he gets his hands on you, you can cancel Christmas. It's over.
There's a lot of horsepower in that motor right there at 6'4", 260, the senior out of Athens.
I mean, they say, you know, you talk about D linemen here. You know, Harry Carson was a D lineman here. Robert Porcher. They say Eric Turner's right along in that next mode of Generation Next.
I think Deacon Jones was a lineman here as well back in the days. To the air.
That's a catch.
And is it a catch or a pick?
Hey, tie goes to the receiver. No. See, so if that official hasn't done anything right now, it's a, you know, he doesn't know, then it's a goes to the offense. So that's a good job by the official. I mean, the moment 2 guys hold on to the ball, and a lot of people don't know that, but if 2 guys have joint possession when they hit the ground, it goes to the offense. And in that case, it clearly looked like the Bulldog defender was going to pull it away, but tie goes to the offense. That's why I played offense.
Bailey Brinson thought he had that one, and Ulysses Alexander snatched it away. That's why you probably had over 3,300 yards back in that unbeaten 1993 season. They'll try and settle for the field goal, at least salvage 3 points out of the possession. 35-yarder on its way, and it is good. Dennis Veberg, now 7 of 10 on the season. Back here with 6:01 to go in the 3rd quarter. After the made field goal, a late penalty flag thrown, and it was a personal foul against South Carolina State, and it appears that Howard will take the points off the board and get the ball half the distance to the goal.
I don't know about that one. That's a tough call right there. But, you know, I guess, Coach Petty, you know, normally you say there's a rule of thumb. You don't take points off the board. But if you can take points off the board and move the ball inside the 10-yard line, why not go for it? But the key is you got to make sure the kids protect the football. On Johnson's last pass to Curry, that could have just as easily been an interception. So make sure he doesn't do anything boneheaded like that. You know, hey, why not, when you're on the road and you're trying to pull off the upset, pull out all the stops. They're outside the MEAC conference. Let's take a look and see if we can see this. They called it leaping and landing on an opponent. Number 5, is it number 5? I don't know who you call that on.
Oh, there's the flag thrown at the end there.
Yeah, you know, that's a tough one there. They said, you know, the official explanation was they leaped and planned to land on the defender. You know, it went straight up and down to me.
That's a tough break there for South Carolina State, and the jury's still out on whether it's a good break for Howard as they take the 3 points off the board, and they will take the ball instead, and it will be placed at the 9-yard line, 1st and goal.
When you get the ball down in situations like this, you know, I'm still a big fan of the play action pass with the bootleg. I would allow Johnson to get out the pocket. I mean, you know one thing, South Carolina State's not going to let you just run the ball off. They're going to force you to throw the football, I believe.
And down here, there's not a lot of real estate. You know, you've only got 19 yards to operate with if you count the end zone, using all 10 yards of the end zone. So get the quarterback out the pocket and see if he can create something with his feet with a little misdirection bootleg.
Johnson directing traffic. Rolls to the left. Thought about it and then is stuck back outside the 10-yard line. Terrific pursuit from David Irby. Well, you know, after a tough play like that, that defense is going to have a little more nastiness to it.
Yeah, I mean, but once he gets outside, great seal block there. Take off. Go upfield. He's pumping. Don't pump. Just make it a foot race between you and Irby to gain 3 or 4 yards. He continued to look downfield. He had a great seal block. So what you want to call, that's called a run-pass option. You know, on the run first. Make them take away the run, and if they take away the run, then you should be able to pass the ball to a wide receiver open downfield. But I think Johnson kind of got it reversed, and he was looking pass run. By the time he committed to running the football, it was too late. David Irby was all over.
Loss of 2 on the play, back out to the 11-yard line, 2nd and goal.
Look
Johnson
out.
with the toss and another big stick behind the line of scrimmage. Tony White almost took the head off of December.
I mean, you know, you take a look here. I mean, just look at this. He telegraphs the pass all the way. One block is missed, and December was just a sitting duck.
Listen to this. Big hit from White. So now it's 3rd and goal on the 15th play of the drive. To the end zone, incomplete, intended for Terry Perry.
Now the pressure's on. See, if you're Coach Petty, you're praying he makes this kick a second time. I mean, field goals aren't a given for this Bison football squad.
It's going to be about exactly the same spot as the one he just made, and it would match his career high of 34 yards. Dennis Veberg. Officially a 33-yarder as they rush another lineman on to the field late. Down long enough, and he drills it. So they took the 3 off, got the ball back, and end up with 3 on the board anyways to make it 14-10. South Carolina State on top with under 5 minutes to go here in the 3rd.
Yeah, but I think they lost a little momentum by having to settle for that 3 points again. I mean, the Bulldog defense got back on the field, and they were ready to bite somebody, and they bit that Howard offense by making them start moving backwards. So Howard lost 7 yards on that drive, so it was negative yardage and a little bit of momentum. You know, now I think the Bulldogs are ready to hit, or they're ready to bite, so to speak.
Had the ball for nearly 6 minutes, 15 plays. They put 3 on the board, and now they'll send the defense back out to face thunder and lightning. Deshaun Baker and William Ford will return the best rushing attack in the MEAC, getting set to saunter back out there.
Yeah, you know, that's been the key there. You take a look at the Thunder here, just bruising runs up the middle. That's Deshaun Baker there. And then you see William Ford. The Lightning, you miss on a tackle, he's going to make you pay, showing you the speed and acceleration of why he's the fastest guy on this Bulldog roster. And then once again, Ford here getting to the outside. Then let's get a little Thunder up in there. Arm tackle, no. Stiff arm, no. Watch the dead leg. Watch the dead leg. I like this one coming up. Can't outrun him. Whoop. Give me another 15, 16, 17 yards after the initial look. So Thunder showing he's not all about bruising all the time. He's got a little something in his step.
One of the top contenders for MEAC Offensive Player of the Year. He's got 100 yards on the day and needs 51 now to reach 1,000 for the season. And Ford having a pretty decent day as well. On the return for South Carolina State, they'll get good field position out close to the 45-yard line on the nice return from Stephon Gore.
Great job by Gore, realizing he got past the initial wall, going one-on-one, and Jeffrey Pope with the touchdown saving tackle.
36 yards on the return, and they'll start out in the shadow of the press box here at Dawson Bulldogs Stadium on homecoming weekend in Orangeburg, South Carolina. SCSU in all red, Howard in all white. Play action, McCoy rolls out, got a man open, And the pass caught by Gerald McLeod for the first down as they move into Howard territory.
And that's the type of pass I like to see as a quarterback. Very nice to see. Once Cleveland McCoy got outside the pocket, he released that football before he was out of his break. So that, I mean, this is what you want right here. You see McCoy, he's there, he's setting up, he's throwing that ball. The wide receiver's just now coming out of his break. So that's what you want. Gerald McLeod and McCoy on the same page.
15 yards on that pickup, and they'll grab another 10 right here on the carry from William Ford. Thomas Claiborne making the tackle.
Ford's going to be a good one. I mean, I remember seeing the same thing when I saw a little running back in Hampton, Alonzo Coleman, as a freshman. The way they hit the hole so hard, so fast, it doesn't take them but 1 or 2 steps before they're running full speed. That's something you just can't teach. You either have it or you don't.
Coleman, the reigning player of the year in the MEAC, as Ford gets another carry. The other thing to note with these two guys is they don't turn it over a whole lot. In fact, they've only lost 3 fumbles all season. They've been very good at taking care of the football.
Yeah, they get it. You know, that's Coach Pugh teaching them. You know, hey, if you put my ball on the turf, you're just not going to carry it anymore. We can find somebody else in here that can tote the rock. And see, Buddy Pugh, I mean, what a great job he's done taking over. I mean, you talk about Pugh. When you replace a legend, that's never easy on any aspect. And, you know, you talk about legends. Willie Jeffries was more than a legend here. He was South Carolina State football. And Pugh's done a good job. And Bulldog football has not fallen off a bit in his regime.
How close to perfection were they last year? Well, how about 5 points in their 2 losses? That was it. Otherwise, they're undefeated. They've only lost once in league play the last 2 seasons. Unfortunately for them, not good enough to get them a MEAC championship. And then this year, the 2 losses in league play, they still have an outside shot at a title, but they will need somebody to knock off Hampton, and that somebody would have to be FAMU on November 11th, which isn't inconceivable down in Tallahassee. Daniel Pierce is the injured Bison.
You know, not only do they need somebody to knock off Hampton, somebody's got to knock off Del State for them. And Delaware State's schedule a little bit softer. I want to talk about Coach Pete Adrian's Norfolk State Spartans and Coach Petty's Howard Bison, but they're not the caliber of Reuben Carter's Florida A&M Rattlers.
1st and 10 from the 31. McCoy checks over to the sideline. And offensive coordinator Joe Blackwell sends in a new play. And it is a handoff to William Ford. Well, you talk about Howard, though, Jay, a chance for them, really. This could be a bellwether season of sorts. They can pull off an upset here. They can play the spoiler with Del State later in the season. Really give them something to build on for the future.
Yeah, they can run off a string of wins, which they need. You know, they had a tough schedule right around. They play Hampton early in the season for the first game, which is always tough. They took on Rutgers this year, which is, you know, you don't expect to win that game. The kids, can they believe and can they show them continuing to get better? And I think they have. The defense is still sharp. The offense just has to find its own identity.
McCoy completes the pass to Spencer Miller. Talked about Baker, by the way, over 100 yards today. Only Rutgers' Ray Rice has rushed for over 100 against this Bison defense this year. That's how good they have been.
And I think, you know, McCoy, I mean, Baker's one of those guys, you know, you talk about MEAC Offensive Player of the Year. I mean, it's a wide open race. And, you know, I would say right now he's probably in the league. You know, I think between Baker and you got Shahir McBride up at Delaware State. But I think with the numbers and kind of like as a little senior going away present, I think I would be surprised if he wasn't awarded Offensive Player of the Year, even though the job that McBride has done with Delaware State is just phenomenal.
Trouble shuttling the play in from the sideline, so SCSU will burn the timeout. ESPNU goes inside the polls, presented by Conoco. Breaking down the new college football poll each Monday night at 6 o'clock Eastern with Mike Hall, Mike Gottfried, and Todd McShay. They'll look back at the week that was and look ahead to the week coming up in college football. ESPNU Inside the Polls, presented by Conoco, Monday at 6 Eastern. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. Boy, college football fans around the country circling November 18th and the Horseshoe up in Columbus for that big Ohio State and Michigan matchup that could determine who goes on to play for the national championship.
I mean, that's a big one, you know, and every year in the Big Ten, you know, it always comes down to those 2 schools, but this year just happens to be number 1 versus number 2 in the country.
And then the talk around the MEAC, who goes on to the NCAA playoffs? Will it just be the champion? Is a second team good enough to get an at-large bid this year?
I think if they do get 2 teams in, it'll be because of South Carolina State. Not what they did this year, but the fact that NCAA has slighted the Bulldogs for 2 straight years. And when you slight one team from a conference, you owe them a little makeup favor every now and then. I would be very surprised if Hampton and Delaware State did not advance to the 1AA playoffs.
With the ball in the 4-point lead, under 2 minutes here in the third, McCoy keeps it inside the 30-yard line. May have gotten back to the line of scrimmage. Taken down by Timothy Lockett and Edwin Piner, one of the captains up front.
Those two have been all over the field today, too. I mean, Lockett's been very active. He's one of those active linebackers, and everybody in the conference knows what a good job Piner can do. Piner's one of those guys, he along with Turner from Delaware State, they got motor. They're always chasing down the football, and they're great interior linemen.
4th down and 7 right here for South Carolina State. From the 28-yard line, and we've got a flag thrown after the whistle here.
Sideline warning. See, I don't like that. You know, it's homecoming. You know, you got everybody on the sidelines here coming out to celebrate. You give them the sideline warning, 4th and 7 game, you know, crucial play in the game. Let them play.
They'll get ready to go again on 4th down. McCoy has some time, passes away, caught for the first down inside the 10-yard line. Kelly King hauls it in. Orlando Jamison with the touchdown saving tackle.
We talked about Kelly King. He's not their most athletic wide receiver, but he's the senior leadership they need. When you need a 4th and 7 on homecoming, find the senior. He was able to get away from the one-on-one coverage and make the key first down grab.
They needed 7. They tripled it, got 21 yards.
You think Buddy Pugh wants to win homecoming?
I think
4th and 7. He's like, this game is too close for comfort.
Probably hosting some folks over at the house tonight. He wants that to be a happy party for homecoming.
I'm going to join him.
I like the poise shown by McCoy on that last pass play. He knew he was going to take a hit and delivered, and now here calling his own number.
Did you notice on that last option, although McCoy ran out of bounds, it wasn't because he was trying to avoid a tackle. It was just because he ran out of real estate. That's the 3rd time today that they haven't covered the quarterback in that option attack. So look for McCoy. I call the same play. I mean, Howard is having problems with the matchup. They don't have anybody to account for the quarterback when he's running the option.
He will settle back in under center. The give is to Baker.
Thunder.
And Deshaun thunders across the goal line for 6 more. Touchdown, South Carolina State. His 7th touchdown of the season.
Well, what a good job by Deshaun Baker, you know, not trying to avoid contact. There's so many times you see big running backs and you hear they got 220 pounds and they try and tiptoe. He gets this one. He's looking for collision by the end zone. Shoulders turn. He's looking for somebody to lower that shoulder into and absorb the blow. And that's a good job of running by Deshaun Baker, the touchdown maker.
The extra point is up and good. 21-10, South Carolina State, as they go 9 plays and cover 56 yards in just over 3 minutes.
Look at Baker there on the sideline. That's what you want. You know, senior has come back from so much, and you win homecoming, you deliver the blow there. And, I mean, look at that body. I mean, he's put together. You're talking 6'1", 220 pounds, and he knows how to throw his weight around, to say the least.
He goes 7 yards for that score, and he's right around his average, which leads the MEAC. He's got 107 yards today. And the coaches not only talk about his athletic skills, but also the mentoring and the tutelage that he provides for young William Ford, who will step into that starting tailback role next year when Baker is gone.
Yeah, that's just a tribute to the type of player and person that Deshaun Baker is. I mean, we asked him, hey, what about Baker NFL? He said Deshaun Baker's one of those guys that I don't have to worry about after football's over. I mean, you know, he's going to get into, he's got a great major, sports communication, so somewhere down the line he may want my job or something on that aspect, but he's such a good kid. He said he's prepared for life. And at the end of the day, although we love celebrating touchdowns and interceptions, it's all about educating young men to become leaders in society. And he said he's done a great job with Deshaun Baker, and he feels comfortable about the things Deshaun Baker is going to accomplish in life.
He is on his way to leaving his legacy here at South Carolina State. en route to a third consecutive 1,000-yard rushing season. He will finish #2 all-time in rushing at this tradition-rich MEAC power.
Behind?
I believe that would be one Michael Hicks.
Michael Hicks. He could step. Now, Beth, I played against Michael Hicks. He could step. You know, Baker was the Thunder. He was the Lightning. I mean, Michael Hicks took 194 on us at Howard one time, and if you blink, you missed it. Played for the Chicago Bears in the NFL for a couple of years, and I know we talk about South Carolina State. What a proud program. I mean, you know, they've got pride, tradition, and you know, some would say this may be the best program to coach at in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. That was what the coaching staff felt it in the coaches meeting yesterday. Others would argue.
It's certainly a wonderful facility, and Coach Buddy Pugh was given a contract extension recently. The success of those back-to-back 9-2 seasons. And our third quarter is complete. It was a good one for South Carolina State. They are up 21-10. The newly crowned touchdown Baker takes it in.
2 days until ESPN Monday Night Football. Now that alone is a reason to smile, even if you're working.
ESPNU College Football is presented by Citi. Earn rewards points in more ways than ever with Citi. Back here at South Carolina State, and Baker, the touchdown maker, punching it in to put an exclamation point on that third quarter. South Carolina State leading Howard 21-10. And after the two previous scores for the Bulldogs, the Bison came back and answered with some points of their own, and they'll have to do it again here behind Brian Johnson at quarterback.
Not the position you want to be in if you're Howard University. I mean, you're not a team that can score a lot of points. You know, right now, 2 scores is basically almost unattainable. So they have to make sure that they can score now, drive down the field. Very crucial drive, because if State just puts any more points on the board, I don't know if Howard has the firepower to make it up.
Antoine Rutherford tried the cutback. Nothing doing for the Bulldog defense, which claims the ball popped out at the end of the play. And they've got it. A fumble recovered by South Carolina State.
Trying to just go to the well one too many times with hard runs up the middle. And, you know, you got to know the situation and what's at stake for the game. Then Rutherford's got to protect that football. Let's take a look, see if we can see it. He's got it clean. He tries to cut against the grain, and good job of stripping that ball out of there. You know, you try and run in between the tackles with one hand on the football. You've got to know where everybody is at all times. And he wasn't able to get that second arm to grasp the football, and they made him pay.
That is the third turnover of the day for Howard. Slow to get up is Michael Russell, the sophomore from Cleveland. And as we touched upon earlier, they are already thin up front. They lost a couple of starters. Russell was replacing the injured Michael Adams.
It's not a good sign there when you see a big fella like that and they're holding his head like that. You know, normally it's something, looks like he might have got a neck stinger on that aspect, and he's been down there for quite a while now. Injuries, part of the game. I mean, that's the thing about it. You know, football, we celebrate the touchdowns, but we don't realize on so many simple plays that are boring to watch on TV, like a 2-yard run, there's so many collisions and big bodies running into each other on any given play. It could be a life-altering play. Unfortunate circumstance of the game of football. But I love it. but I love it.
And now South Carolina State will try and capitalize on the fumble recovery. McCoy, they'll go with a couple of tight ends for this look, and once again they'll check over to change the play up. McCoy with the defense creeping up to show blitz.
Oh, what a move.
Whoa, Cleveland, nice spin move to get away from the defender, and then tracked down by the speedy Timothy Lockett after he put a nice juke move on Rudy Hardy.
You know, what I like about it, I mean, it wasn't a move so much. Even if Hardy didn't fall down, he knew he had a blocker coming to get him. See, so Hardy got inside. He was trying to set up the tight end to make an extra block on him, but Hardy fell down and fell so hard for the juke. But one thing about it, you're not going to outrun Timothy Lockett.
McCoy The give on second down to Deshaun Baker. Well, we mentioned Rudy Hardy's name. That was a name we thought we'd be calling a lot more of for Howard. He is tops in the MEAC in tackles for loss and for sacks, but he's been kept quiet today by Nate Richardson and Clyde Reed, those two all-league candidates at tackle for South Carolina State.
Yeah, I mean, those guys can play. You know, if you're Hardy, you're disappointed. You got to rise to the occasion. I mean, this is what scouts are all about. They want to see how you play against the premier talent in your league, not just the also-rans on the league ticket. So a little disappointing day for Rudy Hardy that he hasn't been more involved in this game.
Here comes the heat, and down goes McCoy. Robert Dowdy coming around the edge, and McCoy had no chance.
Outside linebacker's dream, coming in, running in, blindsiding the quarterback, getting an opportunity to blitz unprotected on the quarterback's backside. You got to make him pay, and Dowdy lowered that shoulder and dug him into the turf. Those hurt. See, the hit doesn't hurt. It's when they land on you.
Yeah.
That's the part that hurts.
One of the few times, really, that they've gotten a clean lick on McCoy.
Well, are they thinking about going for it on 4th and 15? Now, this is one where if they do go for this one, you know, you got to rise up as a defense and say they're really just trying to humiliate us, and they're not showing us any respect.
Michael Gaston's long, in terms of a field goal that he's made this year, is 36, so they are beyond that range. It would be a career-high attempt if they chose to go that route. But the offense still huddled around Coach Buddy Pugh.
Okay, fans.
South Carolina State. Here's what they've got coming up next year. They're taking on the Mountain West and the SEC, amongst others.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and I think what everybody's realizing is the lifeblood of Division I AA football is not how you do in your conference. It's where you can go play a game and get a check and get better in the same time process. So they're excited. You know, they get to go out to Colorado Springs and visit the Service Academy. And one of the things Coach Pugh said he was excited about that game is you go out there a day early and you get to actually tour the facilities and see everything that your taxpayers' dollars are paying for anyway. So they're taxpayers. And then, you know, the game, you know, right at USC, that's going to be phenomenal. Yep. I mean, that's a game they used to play. And the key is, first question I asked him when he told me about those games, how much you getting? you know you're going to take a loss, but those checks right there can support the whole athletic program.
44-yard attempt for a new career high for Michael Gaston. He's got enough on it and just did miss it wide right. And that was actually a close call for South Carolina State, still up 21-10.
Millions of people around the world can't be wrong. Become a doer today and call now.
The stadium is not the only game going on in Orangeburg. They've got a good tilt going on outside the stadium as well. And Sunday night, we've got more football for you on ESPNU, bringing you the Legacy Classic, the Morehouse Maroon Tigers, and the Miles Golden Eagles. College football primetime on ESPNU Sunday night at 7:30 Eastern. For more, log on to ESPNU.com. Fond memories of those kind of games out in the field with all the kids growing up.
Yeah, I don't see enough kids doing that. That's why I'm excited to see that. Now, you know, kids talk about, I'll beat you in John Madden, or I can beat you in Xbox, but I can't beat you on football, the game on the field.
And a new quarterback coming in, incomplete on the first attempt from Floyd Hagler, the 6'2 sophomore who is from right here in Orangeburg, South Carolina. And even though it was an incompletion, they may get the yardage anyways on a pass interference flag.
And Hagler's one of those guys that get excited about. I mean, he's got a great frame, 6'2", 195 pounds, and you know, they think that he is their passing quarterback. But one thing he has to do, when you got a curl route, you got to get rid of that ball on timing. You know, too many times.
44, defense, automatic first down at the spot of a foul.
Too many times, that's the problem when you're bringing your backup quarterback. The timing is off. But a curl pattern is a timing pattern. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get rid of the football, hit him. He sat there and took that extra pat on the football, and that almost allowed the defender to come from behind and knock that ball down.
4 receivers out there. Floyd Hagler will try and lead the comeback here for Howard, down 21-10. Still plenty of time, over 12 minutes to go in the ball game. passing it out into the flat behind Terry Perry as South Carolina State. And the defensive coordinator sitting up in the booth next to us, boy, they see that new quarterback in there, and they're throwing the kitchen sink at him.
Fresh meat. I mean, they see fresh meat. You know, I don't blame him. You got a guy in the game who he's not your starter, so when he first gets in there, he's obviously going to be a little bit nervous. So why not rattle him up a little bit more and let him know it's going to be a long day.
Showed the blitz on that last play.
Blitz is coming again.
2nd and 10 from their own 37. Here come the red jerseys. Hagler gets the pass away, incomplete into the shadows, well short of his intended receiver, looking for Terry Perry again.
And that's one of those instances where the pre-snap read, Hagler knew the blitz was coming, and you know he had more time he thought. Take a look at the bottom of your screen, 44. He's coming all the way. You can tell from alignment. Nobody gets close to Hagler, but because he knew there was a blitz coming, he rushed that throw. Realized that was picked up, it was protected. You're gonna get hit anyway. You know, the quarterback, you throw the ball, if he's blitzing, he's gonna hit you anyway, so why not step strong in the pocket and deliver a completed pass?
I'm sure he's been here as a fan watching games in this stadium before, and now his first opportunity to play on this field. Looking deep across the middle, incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Happy feet. I mean, happy feet in the pocket. Never just settle down in the offensive scheme, and you can tell, you know, those blitzing early got to him, because when he had more time, he was still jitterbuggy in that pocket there, and that's just something. He does have a nice release. I mean, I'm not a guy that likes to critique the backup, because in the NFL, I was Mr. Backup.
All the other quarterbacks huddled around him there, trying to give him some encouragement.
All 5 of them?
Get him calmed down a little bit.
All 5, you know, I guess they're waiting their turn. You know, we went to number 1, now you're number 2, and number 3, number 4, number 5 are probably getting ready to come in this game, too.
That take a number at Baskin-Robbins.
Yeah.
Punting unit comes on. Veberg will boot it away. South Carolina State will let it drop, and it takes a big Bison bounce inside the 10-yard line to pin back the Bulldogs, who will have the ball when we come back. They've got the lead in Orangeburg.
Mary's coming. Spread the word.
Back to homecoming weekend at South Carolina State. The Bulldogs leading Howard 21-10. Cleveland McCoy, the junior from Hollywood, South Carolina, at quarterback. After Howard made the QB switch and went with the freshman Floyd Hagler, and as predicted, the heat came from the defense on the freshman.
You see number 44 coming on the outside, but the key to reading the keys is having that safety. If there's a safety that's 5 yards behind the outside linebacker, he's not standing there just to occupy space. He's coming because he's going to cover the wide receiver, and that outside linebacker is coming. So you take a look at your screen now, the guy on the inside, he's in between. There's a safety back there, so that's where the blitz is coming. And too often, I don't see young quarterbacks realizing rule number 1 as a quarterback, when you break the huddle, locate the free safety. He's going to tell you what the defense is doing 95% of the time. A little football 101 for you.
I like that, a little football 101. Class is in session. Endor Cooper making the tackle on the carry. Pickup of 3 on the play. McCoy with 5 receivers alone in the backfield. The fake to Baker. McCoy with the keeper up the middle, out across the 20, and a 1st down for South Carolina State. Cleveland McCoy continues to run the show effectively.
Now let's take a little break, see if I can practice what I preach. You see number 17, the free safety, Ricky Jackson. He's deep in the middle of the field now. Let's watch him. He's the free. So if he's standing looking at the quarterback and he's 18 yards away from the ball, pretty safe, pretty sure he's going to be a zone because he doesn't have to cover for a blitzing linebacker. See, so he settles there in his own coverage right now.
McCoy again will keep it. Lockett, oh, going to get hit again for a late hit flag. That's the 2nd time today. One has been thrown towards Timothy Lockett.
And anytime you hit a quarterback, you deserve that. That's quarterback lingo.
That's quarterback 101.
Sometimes they protect us a little bit too much in the pocket.
Give McCoy and company the automatic 1st down.
Let's take a hit. I mean, I do believe they protect quarterbacks too much in the pocket, but when you get outside the pocket, I'm kind of the old school. You're fair game. You cross that line of scrimmage. Let's see here. Let's see how close this one was here.
You know, if he'd have dipped down in spirit, it would have been one thing. Let's take a look now. You know, we'll see here. Howard's there. We got Ricky Jackson. We're still looking from the back. Now he's still looking up. Now he's going to the left to help out with something.
That's the way they run, to the left. They could have used his help over there. Jackson trying to track down Deshaun Baker, who's off to the races. And he's caught at the 15-yard line. Deshaun Baker with another big run.
And is there any doubt who was responsible for missing that tackle? You know, we talk about them. They brought the free safety over there for some help on the left side. They brought a blitz in. You take a look at 17 the whole time on your screen. He's there. He's the force. They're blitzing the corner. The cornerback's in the backfield. He overruns the play. And once Baker gets by him, that's his responsibility. He's in chase mode. Because he took a poor angle of pursuit, Deshaun Baker was able to rip another big yardage gain.
Randall Means had to haul him down, and Deshaun Baker has the 151 yards needed to pass 1,000 on the season for the third year in his career. Congratulations to Baker, the touchdown maker. Another big season out of the backfield.
And 1,000 yards rushing is no easy task on the collegiate level. You get 11 games to do it in, and you have one bad day at the office, and your chances go down tremendously. So doing it 3 seasons consecutively is an out-of-sight accomplishment by Deshaun Baker.
One of 3 guys in the backfield right now, and the give is to Baker. Tried to find a seam off the left side, and there wasn't one there to be had. Bottled up nicely by that defense led by Robert Dowdy.
Dowdy, linebacker from North Carolina. And one thing's about Howard, I mean, you know, you go around, you look at rosters, and, you know, and especially in this MEAC conference, you know, they all have a certain flavor to it. Howard rosters all over the place. I mean, you've got Ohio, you've got Michigan, you've got Florida. You know, I think they've got to figure out where their strength is in terms of recruiting, whether it's in Maryland, whether it's in Virginia, whether it's in Florida. But they need something. They're too spread out, I believe, geographically to really form and be a team. And touchdown, Bulldogs.
All alone for the score. Cleveland McCoy hits his tight end, Orlandis Breland. And it's 27-10.
Somebody got caught peeking in the backfield. It's probably number 49, Daniel Pierce. He's the outside linebacker, and he's looking for the football instead of realizing he's got a tight end that was over him lined up on the line of scrimmage, and he just gave him a free release, and that's just unacceptable.
"91 yards on the drive in just over 3.5 minutes. Capped off by the 5-yard touchdown pass. McCoy to Breland, and the Bulldogs are in control.
True to the game.
Welcome back to South Carolina State, 28-10. South Carolina State on top. And here is that last touchdown.
Take a look at number 49, the end of the line of scrimmage. There's nobody behind him and nobody outside of him. You see 41, Breland, right there in his face. He doesn't touch him because look at his vision. He's looking at the quarterback, and he allows Breland to get outside of him. There's no outside help. That's his responsibility, one-on-one coverage, yet he's peeking in the backfield. He's in no man's land. That was the easiest touchdown throw Cleveland McCoy's had in his career here at South Carolina State. Byron Patrick, when you're playing that one-on-one coverage, don't worry about what the quarterback's doing. Get your responsibility first and then locate the quarterback. And Breland, hats off to you, man, but I can't say you worked for it. It was more like a gift.
McCoy now responsible for 163 yards on the ground and through the air. Has scored a touchdown with his feet and one on that last pass play. And Deshaun Baker, 170 yards rushing today to put him over 1,000 for the season.
Whoa, he did 170 yards on Howard?
And counting with 8:19 to go.
That does not happen. I mean, hats off. That's a dominating performance against a pretty good run-stopping defense. I mean, against a very good run-stopping defense.
And he had 2 runs of over 50 yards. The only other guy that's run for 100 this year was Ray Rice of Rutgers. So, by the way, top 20 in the country and undefeated this year.
Rutgers undefeated?
Rutgers, that's right.
This deep in the season? Are we week 1? Are we week 2? Or we're week 7 in the season?
University of New Jersey.
It'll be interesting now to see what they decide to do with the quarterback position. You know, if you want to throw the ball, why not develop Hagler and see what he does? And he's from home. You know, give him a chance to throw the football at home. And just because you're in there, though, you got to make it count. See, this is why as a backup, you got to think the moment I get my chance, I'm going to shine, because you don't know how many more opportunities you'll get.
Got to be better on his second possession than he was on his first. See if he's a little more comfortable out there. And oh, he gets stuck at the 20. Big hit coming in the backfield was Marcus James.
And I don't know if there's some miscommunication. I see what happened. They tried to run that three-man option where they have a pitch man behind and a pitch man in front, and the pitch man in front got knocked off the line of scrimmage, so Hagler had to absorb the sack. That's not his fault.
Loss of 5 on the play.
Oh, no.
And he's going to be taken down again for the loss. The sack. Littleberry was in there. Well, that'll make that fella happy right there. He knows a thing or two about defense at South Carolina State in the NFL Hall of Fame. That's Harry Carson down there.
That's a hard jacket to get.
Ooh, look at that. He brought it with him.
That is one of the toughest jackets to get. You can't even order that tailor-made. They have to size and fit you for it. And I think it was great for black college football when he got into the Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that after this play.
NFL Hall of Fame induction ceremony this summer. Hagler to the air. Sustained another big blow. And the pass incomplete. That'll bring up 4th down. There's that NFL patch on the chest plate there, the chest pocket.
An ugly jacket never looked so good, did it? I mean, that yellow, it's not anything I would necessarily go with, but I like the fact, you know, he handled it with class. I mean, he was overlooked so many times, and he got to the point where he said, well, if you don't think I deserve to be there, then take me off the ballot. And they had one more year to do it. It would have been a travesty to think that Bill Parcells and the New York Giants won those Super Bowls with only one Hall of Fame player, or Phil Simms on offense and only one on defense with Lawrence Taylor. So Carson was the glue that held that defensive unit together, and they were dominating. And congratulations to the former Bulldog for getting to Canton.
He won 1 Super Bowl title with the Giants, had a couple of MEAC championships, and was the first ever back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year in the league. And the fumble, Howard had a chance to scoop it up. They may have gotten it anyways, and they do get the fumble recovery and new life with 6:18 to go.
You know, when you got a kicker that kicks low-line drives, that ball tailed on him a little bit. There's been a wind in the stadium all day long, and once that ball's on the turf, it's anybody's ball. And you see Howard did a good job after they tried to pick it up and run with it. They had the sense to at least fall on the football.
So Hagler right back out there now with the best field position that he's had to work with at the South Carolina State 46-yard line.
Now take a deep shot here. I mean, we haven't seen Howard throw a ball deep down the middle of the field all game. Now's a chance. It was a gimme. You weren't supposed to have the ball. Why not line up and take a shot deep down the middle of the field? It's wide open.
We've been told that he has the best arm of any of the quarterbacks we've seen this year. He's got a big opening up the middle to run with it.
Fumbled
the football, and he gives it right back to South Carolina State. Thomas Stanley scooped it up. And a tough break for the youngster from right here in Orangeburg.
I mean, this just comes from not knowing where you're on the football field. You get past the line of scrimmage, put 2 hands on the ball. Once you get there, you know, put 2 hands. You're trying to absorb blows and hit people. You're a quarterback. You're not a running back. You do that there, you risk the fumble, and you see what happens.
There was the stick, and it's Phillip Adams, the true freshman, who came up with it. The 5th turnover of the day for Howard. And now under 6 minutes to go, and the Bulldogs have it right back. And I'm not sure if the grills were ever turned off out in the parking lot, but those that were are getting cranked back up again for the post game now with the clock ticking at 5:40 to go.
Can I tell everybody out there I'm on the Atkins diet, so I don't need any bread.
Skinless?
I need
skinless chicken?
Yeah, I want some ribs, I want some chicken, I want some burgers. I want the whole grill. I just don't want any bread.
No bread, no buns on the burgers.
Easy on the sauce.
Anything else we can get for you? Do you have a personal valet that will go over and test the food for you to make sure it's kosher with the diet?
That'd be nice. There's a couple guys in the truck that would volunteer to do that. I'm sure there are a couple. I'm not like you, see, big guys. See, that's the difference. You know, look at that. You can tell what's getting ready going out there.
Oh, yeah.
And they need to just rename all homecomings across the country Rib Fest.
Yep.
Because at any given weekend on homecoming, one thing I will say about the MEAC Conference, the MEAC Conference runs the football, and they do homecoming. They do homecoming better than probably any other conference. When you got schools like A&T and Howard and South Carolina State, they do homecoming, where down in the SWAC, you know, every Saturday's a homecoming to them.
Oh, boy,
so
we got a little
different.
MEAC SWAC action going on. It was a great turnout today. And as we talked about earlier, the population of Orangeburg almost doubles on homecoming weekend, with over 22,000 people rolling into town. And they were treated today by the play of Cleveland McCoy and Deshaun Baker. They saw a piece of history as Baker joins Michael Hicks as the only 2 rushers in South Carolina State history with 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons to their credit.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great accomplishment. Just to rush for 1,000 yards once is good. 2 means you're special. 3 means you're great.
Short gain on the play.
And the thing about South Carolina State, they're going to get better. I mean, this team is going to get better. I mean, you look at their offensive unit, the senior Deshaun Baker is going to be tough to replace because he's great. Kelly King's a senior out there, wide receiver, and Clyde Reed. Other than that, those are the only 3 seniors that start for this team. So back is McCoy, back is McLeod, back is Terrence Smith, the freshman. They got some youngsters, and back is the Lightning. You know, William Ford, he'll be back. So folks that beat South Carolina State this year, don't get used to it, because it probably won't happen the next couple of years.
Russell Hemby, the backup quarterback who's in, gets taken down from behind.
Hemby, another Hemby playing football at South Carolina State. He's one of those legacy kids. You know, he's got a brother that played here. He had a father that played here, and that's what they do. You know, when you build traditional powerhouse program, at some point or another, the kids and the grandkids and the uncles and the nieces are going to start playing football here at South Carolina State.
His dad played with Buddy Pugh, and there is Thunder and Lightning, Ford and Baker. The present and the future at the halfback position for South Carolina State. They will try and close up shop here on homecoming weekend and then get prepared for Morgan State. And then Bulldog fans will find themselves in the perhaps uneasy position of having to root for FAMU and having to root for Norfolk State to pull off the upsets next week of Hampton and Dell State.
Yeah, you know, it's going to take a miracle, but miracles happen. Miracles happen each week, and, you know, but they still have to take care of business, too. You're talking about going up to take on Morgan State, and Donald Hill-Ely's got the Bears playing football again, so that's no easy game that they've got on their schedule. And, of course, they've got to finish out their year like they always do traditionally, the Battle of the Carolinas. North Carolina A&T versus South Carolina State.
And then for Howard, chance to still play the role of spoiler and set the tone for next season, as they have a trip to Bethune-Cookman next week, and then they will host Delaware State in a game that could end up determining who wins the MEAC championship and who goes to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one. Like I say, being from the MEAC conference, I'd love to see 2 teams get out there, but, you know, the key is going to be that Howard team, that Hampton team. Their media guide was seasoned for the challenge, meaning we had a senior class that had more victories in school history, and the one place they haven't got that victory has been the 1AA playoffs. So I'm pretty sure Joe Taylor, that's been the chip on his shoulder all season long. And, you know, hats off to the rest of the conference. I mean, this is a very competitive conference, and you don't have teams going undefeated in conference play.
By the way, the playoffs will start November 25th, the week after, or the weekend of Thanksgiving on the ESPN family of networks. We'll have the coverage leading up and through the Division I AA National Championship game, won last year by Appalachian State, who we saw earlier this season here on the U. Pass out into the flat, complete.
Isn't that exciting? I mean, shouldn't playoff football be what it's all about?
Yep.
You know, when you talk about, you know, getting to the playoffs, you know, the MEAC, you got Hampton that's rolling, Delaware State at 5-1. You know, you got to think if Delaware State can win out, they go 9-2. That's a great way to have a year go, or not. You know, that's a good finish for them. They lost one non-conference game, so it'll be a good run. But Hampton's been the class of the act. Bethune-Cookman, well, they just took a loss on Thursday to Hampton, so they're pretty much out of the way now. It's just a matter of, you know, can FAMU and South Carolina State get a couple miracles on 4th Street, so to speak, and Hampton's got a pretty easy schedule with one game to play against Florida A&M.
Hagler looks to go deep. He'll be taken down again for the sack. And of course, Florida A&M has that Florida Classic coming up against Bethune-Cookman down in the Citrus Bowl in Orlando on November the 18th, which I believe the last 2 years running has been the best attended football game in Division I AA at over 70,000 folks down at the Citrus Bowl.
And two of the best bands in the land. When you talk about the Marching 100 for FAMU and Bethune-Cookman's not to be outdone, the Wildcat Band is awesome, and it's just a great environment. That's almost like their own little individual Florida Bowl game there, and you can't find an empty seat in the Florida Citrus Bowl.
No way, Jay, you can stay on the Atkins diet for that one. That'll be tough. That'll be a test of your mettle. The deep throw picked off at the 40-yard line, intercepted for South Carolina State. 6th turnover of the day for Howard, and they have been held to just the field goal here in the second half.
You know, one thing here, we talk about looking at the safeties. They got 2 safeties there. It's a basic cover 2 look, and he gets hit as he releases that ball, and you'll see the safety slide over there and intercept that pass. Made it look easy that place, and that's LaQuinn Ellerby. Another one of those Bulldogs that had a brother that played here before. His brother DeWitt was a great player here for South Carolina State. You know, things like that, it just keeps going down. You can't come down here for homecoming, turn the football over 6 times and even think you're going to be competitive. So they still got more questions and answers over there for Howard University in terms of the offensive game.
And LaQuinn Ellerby, by the way, another one of those Silver Foxes from Lamar High School. So both he and his high school teammate, Marquis Hamlin, with interceptions today, and what has been a big day for Deshaun Baker. It's final. 28-10, South Carolina State a winner. And I think they gotta put 2 seconds back up on the game clock.
2 seconds.
That's interesting. You got the team slapping, giving each other a high five, but
Dead ball. Delay game. Offense. 5 yards. Remains. First down.
so Coach Pugh waits to celebrate his touchdown, and you know what a great job by Coach Buddy Pugh again. And anytime you win homecoming, hey, that keeps him off your back for a little while.
Send the folks home happy, and they will do just that with the 28-10 win. South Carolina State a winner over Howard, and they keep their slim playoff hopes alive in the MEAC.
Hey, keep hope alive, keep hope alive. Please keep hope alive.
Deshaun Baker over 1,000 yards now for the season for the 3rd time in his career, and Cleveland McCoy the steady hand at the quarterback position. 28-10 the final. Coming up next, it's SportsCenter U. For more information, log on to your new home for the finest in college sports. It's ESPNU.com. Plenty of fanfare and fireworks on homecoming weekend at South Carolina State, and they pick up the win at home. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Jay Walker and our entire ESPNU crew, I'm Beth Mowens. So long from Bulldog Stadium.
Very nice. Maryland's last shot. 4th and inches. Clemson 44. Sam Hollenbach gets it. Sets up Dan Ennis. A 31-yarder and scene. This is a walk-on kicker who didn't even play football in high school. Maryland controls their own destiny. Miami, BC, and Wake are next. Georgia Tech against NC State. No score in the first quarter. Reggie Ball to Calvin Johnson. He's tall. Very tall. 9 catches, 168 yards, 2 scores. Then Ball looking around, and he finds Patrick Lowry. Oh, that Patrick Lowry's not on his team. 26 yards for the interception and then the touchdown. Georgia Tech is now up just 1. Fourth quarter, still a 1-point game. James Johnson gets his second TD of the game. Georgia Tech wins. Bad QB play. 13 of 35 for Ball. 21 of 53 for Daniel Evans. VT and Miami. Virginia Tech getting ready beforehand. Needn't get a big win at